Grand night, grand night, grand night. Grand night, guys and goddesses. Hope you all enjoying this beautiful November 1st, day after Hallows Eve. Damn, phone love going on. I thought I started getting ready. As you come in, as usual, new and old members that understand it, go ahead and drop your comment and let me know who's in the room with us. Let the room fill up a little bit. Drop down a little bit of current news events happening in the God called Alchemist's life. The podcast is on the way. The God Hour podcast is on the way. I should be dropping that. Nose kind of hurt. Just got my nose pierced. The God Hour, the God called Alchemist, God Hour podcast will be coming pretty soon. The YouTube channel is flowing. We're about 6 lectures in. If you have not caught up on any of the lectures, they're available now along with the previous God Thoughts that I've launched on previous other platforms. Go ahead and check those out. If you have not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe, hit that bell so you're always in tune and ready to get to this. Tapping in every Friday night until otherwise, around 8 p.m. You know, we get deeper into the topics of the psychological and the alchemy and the metaphysical programming and the mind control that we've been in. Because if we can't get past those parts, we're going to treat everything as religion. We're going to treat everything as the same way that we treated it before. We're just going to replace one set of things for another set and then further separate ourselves. We're further separating ourselves. We're tapping in, but we're not applying it. We're not getting into that level that we need to get into. And that's what tonight's lecture topic is. Let us pray, let us pray. Because now that a lot of us have come into the awareness, into consciousness, we're still using the old programs of the old psychological programs, still trying to get that benefit. And a lot of the times we get stuck in what we were. And we're using that as our bargaining chip. If you know what you are, you know where you came from, okay, cool. You know we've done that before. You know we've been there before. We've been on that road. We've done these things before. What are you doing now? What are you taking the steps? Same amount of steps that it took for us to get into the position that we're in is going to take them same amount of steps to take us where we need to go. And where we're getting stuck in a lot of the times is the sentimental. We struggle for 400 years. We shouldn't have to struggle anymore. That's a nice thought. That's nice to stimulate the ego. But what are you doing really? If you're sitting here every single day of your life, putting yourself in a position saying, I'm fighting the powers that be, but the only thing that you can bring up is you've done this for, what have you done? It's like if I walked into a neighborhood, I do consultations, nutritional consultations. I'm starting to do life coaching consultations. The first thing I tell any of my clients, anybody that comes that wants to sit down and have a consultation with me is like, what are you willing to change? What do you want to let go of? Because that's the only thing. I can teach somebody we can teach somebody financial literacy all day. But if your mindset is still in the mindset of somebody handing you something, what is the use of me giving you the tools if you're not going to use them? What is the use of me putting you in the kitchen to eat if you're not willing to put the ingredients together to make it boil and simmer in that pot? What are you doing with the knowledge? What are you doing with your greatness? I understand we were kings and queens. I understand we came from the God realm. I understand that. But what are you doing to get back there? What are you doing to set yourself into that mindset now? That's where we're lost at. That's why we're sitting here praying for hope. So we're stuck in this paradigm of praying for something. So we're praying, well, I'm praying for some hope. I'm praying for my lights to get cut on. But at the same time, in that same word, when you're saying PRYING and you're praying, guess what you're still doing? You're now PREYING. You just don't want to accept that. You're praying on somebody else's generosity. You're praying on somebody else's kindness. You're praying on somebody else seeing your struggle and seeing what you're doing in order to give you a handout. And now guess what you have to do? You have to accept the same hand that feeds you is that same hand that can starve you. You will continuously go through struggle. You will continuously be starved until you learn how to feed yourself, until you learn how to clothe yourself, until you learn how to do for yourself. That way, when you come to that table, you're not coming to that table with some 360 deal. You're coming to that table with, this is what I've done. This is what I've gained for what I've done. This is what I've learned. I'm coming to this table as an investor. I'm coming to this table as an equal. And when you start putting your table together in that way, just like you do that in your regular life, when you start putting your table together as everybody is getting to a bag, everybody is getting to eat something, everybody is bringing something to that table, whether they're bringing knowledge, some type of talent, some type of skill to that table is a lot stronger than you sitting at the head of that table feeling that you're superior to everybody. Because right now, what I see a lot of, everybody seems to have a superiority complex because you have a little more knowledge than somebody else. But when it comes time to actually teach that knowledge, what are you actually teaching? Are you regurgitating rhetoric? Are you regurgitating rhetoric? How many times can you sit here and tell somebody that these are the principles, divine principles, but you won't get into the dark side of it? Everybody gets stuck on Raw, but don't want to talk about Set. Everybody want to talk about, man, fuck the Bible and fuck Christianity, but you don't want to get into the origins of Christianity itself, the origins of how these things started. And even when we know about those parts, we get stuck and we usually adapt to the things that we love in our struggle. That's what we usually adapt to. That's what we usually connect to. If only if it connects to us, instead of learning how to absorb all of this information. If you're still in the mindset of racism and white supremacy, you're still asleep. You're still under mind control. Because at this point in time, if you're not learning from it, racism, David Banner breaks that down a long while back on the Breakfast Club interview, and he did that in one of his God Thought lecture series, his God Box lecture series, and he broke that down with like, they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. What are you doing? You mad at somebody for doing what they're doing in their life to make their life okay and take themselves to where they need to go. What are you doing? If they don't know the constructs of what it is that can do something better, how about you lead by the example? How about you practice what you're preaching? How about you show that it works? That's the only self-validation that you need for anything that you do in your life, is to show that it works for you. If it's working for you and you can create the methodology and the way to teach it, then that's how you teach it. And that's how you move forward. Right now, we're getting stuck in 1,200 years of a slave, 12 years a slave, or another slave movie mentality. You got to struggle like we struggle. We already did the struggling part. We already did the protesting. What are you doing now? A lot of the times we get confused and we're stuck on, what are you outside of it? What are you outside of the struggle? What are you outside of the pain? I'm not talking about the person you were before that. I know we were great before that, but what are you now? Are you defined by your greatness in your past, or are you defined by your struggle? Are you defined by how you're surviving, or are you defined by how you're rising? These are the things, these are the concepts that we need to get in tune with. Because if we're not in tune with those concepts by themselves, we're not going anywhere. We're going to go another year. This is like somebody sitting there, 2020, now it's coming 2020. They said it in 2019. They said it in 2017. They said it in 2015. 2020 is a new year, new me. I owe myself a lot. That's nice. But what have you done? What have you learned from the night before to take you into win that next day? What have you learned from the night before to win the next day? What have you learned? What are you still holding on to? Have you not realized that everything that you hold on to your mind is what creates your environment around you? So if you're still stuck in the thought process that white people did this and white people did that and white supremacy does this and it keeps holding me back, guess what? Every negative connotation that connects to that is, guess what? It's going to make that happen. Now you're going to be looking at every white person as somebody holding you back. When in reality, it's a reflection of yourself holding yourself back. Because you're giving them the power. You give the power up. You're the only, us as the only beings, us as the only vessel, us as the gods and the goddesses have the soul. The reflection of the sun that so you shines every single day. Just like the sun gives power to everything carbon based and carbon copied, it usually kills the carbon copy thing. That's a whole nother story. It's the same way your soul gives power to anything. Our culture, whether we took it from the negative, from the drug culture, from the rape culture, from all the cultures that we created, the styles that we created, whether it's music, dance, art, whatever we have touched, it has turned gold. We are the ones that have the golden touch. But you're scared of what? That it might work? Because the only thing you're scared of is that it might work. So what are you outside of the pain? What are you outside of the racism? What are you outside of white supremacy? What are you outside of what you're holding on to? You're holding on to things, and all it's doing to you is making you more bitter and give you more resentment. And then you pass that on to the next generation. Then you pass that on, then that generation passes on to the next generation, and all y'all starting in the same space. You cannot see your progress from where you started. You cannot see your progress from where you started. It's time to start. It don't matter where you started as long as you start. It don't matter where you begin in this game as long as you start to begin. You want somebody that's similar to like when our mothers and our aunts and our parents told us when we were younger and the generations before that, guess what? I'm grown. And then you get grown and then you didn't learn anything except for when you have a child, you'll repeat the same thing. That's just like telling a story about, it's like Roots would come on every year on schedule back in like the 90s to the 2000s. I don't know if it still come on now because I barely watch TV. But it's still showing you that same programming. That's where we started. That's where we started. And then you put yourself in a mindset, you're waiting on something to come save you outside of you. Nothing is coming out of the sky to save you. The revolution is not going to be televised. Keeping hope alive is what's keeping you in the spot that you're in right now. Keeping hope. I'm hoping, I'm wishing, I'm praying. All you're saying, what you're doing, once again, while you're praying is you're hoping that something comes into your life that you can pray upon to benefit. That's all you're saying when you're praying. It's similar like, don't pray for me because you ain't going to do shit. Because all you're doing is hoping and setting an intention based on hope and expecting something to come save you so you can keep doing what you're doing. Change is inevitable, but the evolution is your choice. Everything's changed around you, but how much have you really evolved? Minus the fact that you got an iPhone 11, Samsung 10, whatever phone you got. That's how they lock you into, oh, we're advancing. They show you a new drug for cancer. See, they're working on cancer, but you can go Google and there's the base down of cancer is because of the mucus that's inside of your body. And the cancer cells are actually helping you and not hurting you. The cancer cells that happen inside of your body, they trap the cancerous bacteria until the body goes back to a more alkaline state. Then it releases the cancer cells to be killed. But you're accepting outside of you for them to give you something. But they've given you the history that they're not going to give you anything that's going to benefit you in the long run. Or if it does benefit you, you now have to silence your words and silence your true self and submit to servitude. I saw a post today, and it was about Killer Mike, and Killer Mike said he doesn't trust any politician, he doesn't trust any black leader that wants to disarm the black people. And then I went through the comment thread, and somebody had said, I can't trust somebody that doesn't take care of their weight. And then that went through the whole damn comment thread, like saying that. I was like, so if you're saying Killer Mike slimmed down and turned into, so you're saying if Dwayne The Rock Johnson got up there with a chain around his neck from him working out and it said the same exact thing, you would listen to it? So you want something packaged in a way that's comfortable for you. Think of how asinine that sounds. Just by itself. Think of how that sounds in your head by itself. You sitting there saying to yourself that I'm not going to listen to the message, even though it's making me think. I can't bypass the image. But you've been doing that your entire life anyway. Before you came in, if you still in, and you battling yourself based on an image because it doesn't fit an image that you want in your life. It doesn't convey an image that better off make you feel comfortable. How about this? How about you sit there and say, well, maybe he doesn't know. Or maybe I should do some more research. If I'm stuck on the fact of an image of a man, my man's Killer Mike, and you sitting there, I'm not going to listen to his message. So that means if I said the same exact thing, and me being in plant-based shape, in my God shape, God fit is also coming soon. You will listen to me. So you get stuck on images. You get stuck on an image. I don't give a shit what a person says or thinks about me. That's why I move the way I move. That's how I can do what I want. That's how I can create how I can create. That's that point. Let us pray. I'm not going to give you an image to make you feel like I can prey upon your thoughts. All I want you to do is think. That's the whole entire process. All I'm doing is giving you the knowledge, whether I get it from bibliography, from what I've studied, and I give you those books, or I get it from a divine channel and I bring you that energy similar to the night. Whether I do a lecture where I did, the last lecture I did when I read out the chakra system, that was based off my research that I wrote. And I gave you the sample of books. Stop. Your mind's still steady. You're stuck on Insta. You're stuck on likes. If you stuck on likes and you stuck on comments that make you feel good about yourself, you're still stuck in ego. You're still stuck in fear. You're not going to take that step. You're not going to take that jump. You're not going to make that move because you're going to sit there in silence and pray. I'm going to pray on it. I'm gonna prey on your lack of love and self-value and self-validation for yourself. That's what they prey upon. They prey upon that because you're preying upon hope. So guess what? Since you're preying upon hope for something good to happen in your life, the people that come into the reflections that come into your life, those energies, those entities that are coming into your life are feeding off of where you're at when you pray. If I pray, because usually every time you hear someone that say when they pray, they always downtrodden. I usually don't pray. I don't pray enough, but I pray that you let me get that bologna and cheese sandwich just to ease my hunger. I pray that you give me that bottle of water and I won't do nothing bad again. And then you get what you prayed for, or you come up, it comes in and you get what you asked for. You get it. Then you go back and do the dumb shit again that got you back in that same position. And then you tell yourself, I never did it much in my life either. But in your thought process, that's similar to when you write your affirmations about I am. That's one of the spells. If you sit here and you say, I am saved, that's one thing I always listen to. I never, when I was younger, I remember going to church and I never felt anything. And for a long time, since I was psychologically broken, I can say that now because I understand what it is. I was psychologically broken. I thought that I needed to do more of it. I thought I needed to suffer more in order to gain some type of traction. I thought I needed to go through more sorrow and go through more pain. I thought I needed to do more of these things, go through more detriment in order to get the divine favor. Here's one thing Erykah Badu said that the most. Fear and love cannot coincide in the same space. So if people that like to read through the Bible, you go to that page where it says ye are gods, and God is of love, and we are a natural people of love, you gotta start using actual critical thinking and logic. You looking outside of yourself for something that you already are. You looking outside of yourself for something that you already are. You looking outside of yourself for something to make you feel good about yourself. They broke that down in how to selling the Negro. We don't put ourselves in the thought process that you need something because you've been told for so long and programmed that you need something. That you got to go out and get it. You got to go out and work hard for it. If you work hard your entire life, you can retire and live a decent life. Meanwhile, remember it's negative and positive. There's no good and bad. Negative and positive, same polarity, same axis. On the same axis, all twirling around. That's how that energy works. Meanwhile, there's that 20-year-old kid making rap music about whatever drug is hot. And he making money. I don't care about it. I don't think a lot of people even understand what it is to really not give a fuck. And then there's balances on that. So if you're sitting here and you saying, for example, Man, I hate racism and I hate white people. Okay, cool. What have they done to you? Ask yourself that question first. What have they done to you? Man, they did this to my people and this to my man over here. What did they do to you personally? What happened to you personally? Can you answer that question? And if you can answer that question, okay, cool. Now, what did you learn? That's where we get stuck at. We'll keep going back to some shit even after we say we don't like it or we put up with it for lack of knowledge, for lack of learning. Because we're listening to learn and not hearing to, we're listening to reply and not hearing to learn. They tell you every day loud and clear, if you do this, this, and this, based on this, you'll get this. Name one thing that you have been given outside of yourself that you did not have to submit or lose a part of yourself to. That's similar to like when you were a child and you were told to say your prayers. And I remember the prayer because my mother made me say that prayer every single night. I pray my Lord my soul to keep. I pray my Lord my soul to keep. And if I die before I wake, pray my Lord my soul to take. As I think about it right now, that is probably one of the most entrancing thought processes to lock me into something that I've ever seen in my life. That is probably one of the most entrancing, detrimental things to happen in my life. So I'm willing to give myself, I'm gonna give what is actually me away in order to receive something. And then that's how you start selling yourself. You sell yourself based on your worth of yourself, based on the worth of the item that's given to you. So you'll sit there and you'll give yourself away to your job every single day and not learn anything because you are being paid a ransom. They give you a ransom. You go to school, you paying for it, but they give you a ransom. They give you a ransom so you can learn something. The way that we were raised, I thought about that the other day. We are raising ourselves to live in a world that does no longer exist. Our minds are stuck in a world that no longer exists, in a time that no longer exists. So if I sit here and I say I'm gonna stick it to the man, who am I sticking it to? If that's being done for over a decade, who am I really sticking it to? I'm gonna struggle. That's like me sitting here literally saying, that's like me sitting at the dinner table, literally sitting at the dinner table, and my mother made me something to eat when I was little, and then I'm saying to her, I'm not gonna eat that. And then she says, fine, and then I go to bed hungry. You starving yourself. They give you everything you need to know how to make your next move. The only thing you can control is your reaction to it. All that emotion that gets stirred up, that's unconsciously. Emotions are done psychologically speaking. Emotions are unconsciously established. So the emotions that come, whether it's anger, you're happy, you're sad, or whatever you're feeling, scared, that's an unconscious That's unconsciously done. You don't do that. You can't control your emotions. What you can control is your feeling towards it. Since we are so emotionally and psychologically broken, we only know how to act out. We literally we act out. We show our hand. We show our moves. We show that we need something. You show that you need something. But in that same note, you'll sit here with you'll sit here with that same pride, that same fucking pride, and be in a relationship and not ask for anything. The relationships that we've been in, whether they've been good, bad, negative, or positive, they've all taught us something. Most times when you're in a relationship and you say I'm sorry all the time, or you don't like to say certain, I didn't want to say this much, or I didn't want to be too open, or I didn't want to say this, or I didn't want to do this. That's a reflection of something that you need to work on. Everything that you keep coming back to in that spiral effect, that sickle process that we're going through, we're not going through a process, we're going forward. We're on a hamster wheel. And all they do is just keep putting a different picture in front of the wheel. So you think you're doing something different, but you're still on the same wheel. You're still in that same circle of events because you keep giving it your attention. You're still in the same circle of events because you keep praying to the same shit. You keep putting yourself in harm's way every single time because you keep putting your attention on the harm. They shot my cousin. Oh, they shot Trayvon Martin. They killed that boy. That could have been my son. That could have been my niece, my nephew. That could have been my great-grandson. Okay. What are you going to do now that you have the information? What are you going to apply to take yourself to the next level? To get past that? You want to stay stuck in struggle. What are you going to do? A lot of the reasons why we're still down here is because we keep starting from down here. We don't look at the progress that's happened because there has been progress through negative and positive. We're not using that platform or the progress that's up here. Instead, we want to keep going back here. Here's slavery. So let's create a timeline or an alignment. Here's where we could be. Here's slavery. Here's the time before slavery. What we have ended up doing is we're stuck in between this gap. So we know what we were before slavery or being prisoners of war, and we know what we were during slavery. And then let's spice it up. Let's take the civil rights movement and the protest era. Now we know what we are with this right here. So we know what we were before it. We know what we were after it. But we're still mentally in these spaces down here. We mentally in these spaces. So any new logic, any new information, any knowledge that we take in, we apply it to the scars. We literally apply it to the scars. So we're putting ankhs and crystals and baphomets and sigils on the past pain. We literally put ourselves on the past pain. And then we wonder why we're at where we're at. You wondering why you at where you at, trying to pray to get something new, but you still in the same space you were before. You're literally stuck in the same space, running in a hamster wheel. At this point in time, I use myself as an example because I'm creating the example as a guide. I'm creating that example. I use myself as an example. I've never been through anything race. I've never experienced racism in a detrimental sense that stopped me from doing what I needed to do next. I have not experienced anything that has stopped me. I have not experienced anything that has stopped me from doing what I needed to do next. As I sit here in this space right now, and when I think about the things that used to stop me, it was always because I'll be like, I would say, well, I know if I go over there and this is going to happen. And then I go over there and sure enough, that shit would go happen. Or sure enough, that would be what would happen next. Like, damn, I'm keep repeating the same shit over and over again. You literally have to change your mindset. And I'm not talking about what's good for your ego, cushioning your ego. You have to starve your ego. That's a part of killing your humanity. Because you can't study something if it's in constant flux. All you can do is you can slow it down and you can understand the algorithms of it. But in constant flux, everything behind you is already dead. Before they even put a media scene on the TV, whether it's Kanye West says he's Christian or he's born again, saved again, because he put out an album said Jesus is King. You guys get in the uproar. Man, that's that shit we be talking about. What the fuck does it matter? I've cared less about Kanye West because I know what Kanye West is. I know what that energy is. I understand what that energy is. He's going to always cause conflict before he does something regarding his album sales or a tour or a song he's going to put out. He called himself a genius. That's genius. There's no good or bad. It's genius. He's learned how to use the negative and make you look at him to pay him attention. So you're feeding negative energy. So it's just, what do you do when you put two magnets together, two negative polarities together? It pushes shit away. So if he's sitting here, but he's giving you this attention as he's beaming that shit down, and you feed him negativity, it takes him further up. That's what's happening. Every time you feed something negativity that's already came from negativity, it just takes that shit further because you gave it more attention of your power. You locked your power into it. Now your power's in it. Now you're wondering what's going on in your life. Man, why my life ain't going right? But you're going to go pay attention to something else outside of you. Let us pray. I'm tired of our children being preyed upon. Okay. But you keep fitting them into environments for them to get preyed upon. They need an education. Okay. What are you doing to give your kids an education? I don't have time. I gotta go to work and I got bills to pay. Okay. But in the moments of time where you have a moment, there's always a teaching moment. What are you actually teaching yourself? What are you actually telling yourself? What you're telling yourself is, I don't have time, so I have to accept what's coming to me. I'll never have enough time for myself. So what you're saying to yourself is, you don't value yourself enough to take yourself to the next level. You don't value yourself enough to challenge yourself and go to the next level. That's the psychological part of it. That's how it breaks down psychologically. You sit there and now you're You sitting there stuck and upset, and you sitting there stuck. Someone trying to link on. You'll sit there stuck and upset and mad and all these things to yourself. But who are you really beating up? Yourself. You ain't beating up anybody else. You're not hurting anybody else. You're not doing anything to anybody else but yourself. You're not doing anything to anybody else. That's what you're doing. And then you sit here constantly in this thought process to be hurt, to be stunted. Then you stunt your own self. You stunt your own growth. You stunt your own power. You stunt yourself. What does it matter what somebody else thinks about what you're doing? We're so stuck on being accepted that we'll do anything to be accepted. We're so used to trying to be accepted by something outside of us that when it actually comes time for us to do something for ourselves, guess what we don't do? Stick up for ourselves. Instead, we're waiting for somebody else. We're programmed on that. We're waiting for somebody else. We need more black leaders. These entertainers need to do something for. Entertainers need to put in some of that money that they got. Okay, then what? What platform have you built? What can you bring to the table to me that I'll be like, you know what? I can stand behind that. What can I do for you that you haven't done for yourself? What can I give you that's not benefiting to myself? At this point in time for myself is like, I'll give prime example. Put myself into the thought process saying I do what I fucking want. I've been saying that ever since I was 10, 11 years old. I do what the fuck I want. As I got more into the zodiacs and understanding my traits as being an Aquarius as my cardinal sign, as my chief sign, even though we're all the zodiacs, and we'll get into that as well. I knew that I was always forward, thoughts and intuitive, intelligent, all these things about myself. I already understood these things about myself. So I did what the fuck I want. But then I understood, basically when I was coming into my awakening, I went through the angry conscious phase. Man, fuck the white man, fuck the powers that be. And I can't put this on there because all they can do is shut me down. The key to it is, just like me taking on that title as the God, the core alchemist, and understanding what that means. As a God, I generate, operate, and destroy. As an occultist, I study the hidden. I study what's hidden in plain sight. As an alchemist, I take all of that I've learned and create, take myself to the next level. I realized that the only thing that was stopping me was myself. There was nothing else stopping me other than myself. Now, the only issue that I have is I just keep creating new shit. I keep creating new avenues and new streams for myself. That's that energy, like, that's that wavelength. But like, you never know. Like, I was talking to somebody earlier, and I was texting them back and forth, and we were having a whole text conversation. And they said they'll talk to me later. And then they sent me some stuff they were thinking about, but they were going to send it to another person for I guess, like some validation. And the only thing I replied was back, you don't need any validation other than yourself. You're trying to create something, but none of the shit works for me. In order to understand, you got to understand everything starts at a process. In order to learn, in order to win, you have to be willing to learn from the losses. You have to understand that there's no such thing as time. There's only alignment. You can look at a lot of examples. Don't look at the messenger, look at the message. And I use a lot of these things when I say entertainers, because I've learned from that. Oprah Winfrey got kicked out of. Thank you. You can look at Oprah, and they say she got kicked out of the editorial because she wasn't original enough. She got her own damn network. Jordan cried in his room or some shit. Steve Jobs lost the job, that's something that he created, and so on and so forth. The process is what's going to lead you to the shit that's going to work for you. The process is what's going to lead you to the shit that works for you. Because no one else can learn you or teach you better than you. I sit here, I remember in 2017 is when I started the God Thought program. I started the God Thought premise. I will always have that intellectual thought process, so I will always be like sharing like different thoughts, but it was based on like that outward. But I started looking more inward at can't say certain words. Looking at my interpretation or my depth of what I was going through in my experience, and then I created the examples. So in 2018, I actually launched I launched the Facebook page for God Kings, Ankh, and Goddess Queen. Ankh, Goddess Queens. I had 5 people. Like 5 people start following the links. It's at over 300 people now within this first technical year. From there, that's when I started, because every day I was writing down the God Thoughts, had different pages, started writing different things. And then I started going live. And it was like 1 to 2 people, 3 couple people. But as I started doing it, I felt better because I knew I had something to speak on. I knew I had something to say. I knew something was being conveyed through me. So I started putting it out there. It doesn't matter. My ego would have had me stop after like the first month when I was only getting the same amount of views. My ego would have stopped me. But I didn't allow. I starved my ego and went harder. What I was showing myself from my higher self, what I was showing myself is I'm not doing this to get anything. I don't need or want anything from this other than to put out the information and the knowledge that I find, and I still tell people to research. That's what I'm putting out. As I got further into it, everything that I needed, everything that I wanted, naturally was coming to me. Working on your gift, working on your talent, that is when everything comes to you. Because when you realize you need nothing, that's when you get everything. When you realize you don't need somebody outside of you to tell you that you're beautiful, and then you show that yourself when you look in the mirror and you put your best image forward, guess what reflects to you? The ones that actually see that inside of you, that reflection of your beauty, that reflection of your strength, that reflection of your power. that's what starts coming around you. What falls away from you? The ones that use outward beauty and outward validation to help them move. You'll understand the levels you are in life when the things below you no longer resonate with you. When you see that's where you needed them at, because it becomes below you. There's nothing wrong with stuff being below you. There's nothing wrong with stuff being you're being above shit. You're a god. You're a goddess. You're a titan. You're a chaos being. You're the universe. So what the fuck does it matter? We get stuck. A lot of people get stuck in that thought process where they stuck at. They get stuck in this paradigm of what other people are thinking of them instead of embracing what the fuck they are. I had a conversation with a queen the other day, and somebody said that she is still in between the paradigms of actually coming fully into herself based on what she accepts. If she fully accepts herself, but she's still trying to convince herself of what she's not, but she actually is becoming. When you hinder yourself from when you hinder yourself from fully embracing what you are, you're only hurting yourself. When you hold yourself or hinder yourself from embracing what you fully are, that's what stops stuff from working for you. That's what stops you from being in tune with yourself, rising to yourself, becoming better in yourself. Because you don't need anything outside of you. Who are you going to talk to? How do you find out what you really are? It comes to you. Everything is written within you. And what I tell a lot of first of all, I tell a lot of my clients, what I tell a lot of my people that I give consultations to, you have to think about it like this. Everything that is everything that has made you who you are at this point is covering who and what you are. The only way to get to who you are, that's an excellent question. The only way to get to what you are is by literally learning from everything that created you to the point you're at now. This is where a lot of people get stuck at. They get stuck in the emotional part of it and the sentimental part of it of not letting go instead of doing the learning part. Because going into the dark will lead you to who you actually are. Going in the dark will lead you to who you are. Going towards the light is only going to sustain what you are. Going to the light is only going to sustain you. Because only from the dark can you create new light. Written in the scriptures. From the dark comes light. It was allegorical. Most of us get stuck in this light phase. I want all the stuff to come to me like this. How can you have a whole room? If your room's full of shit, just stop right there. If your room's full of shit, full of stuff that you collected, but you want something new in your space, you'll never enjoy the nuance of what you bring into your new space because it's still surrounded by the old stuff. That's the same thing with you. That's the same thing with all of us. That shadow work that I broke down in my last lecture when I broke down the chakra system on that beginning, we're going to get into a little later on into this. That shadow work that you need to do, those are some of the darkest spots of who you are. What made you what you were. That thing that happened to you, that childhood trauma that you've been running away from instead of running into the breakthrough. Traumas are breakthroughs because it shows you exactly who you are. It shows you how strong you are. It shows you how powerful you are. It shows you everything that you need to see. Everything that's reflected outside of us that comes into this media, as I keep saying, is just a reflection of your resilience. One of our people died, we have a fish fry. But what are we doing after that fish fry? See, we're being reactive, not proactive. If I know going in that area is going to heed me this, why would I keep going there? If I know going to the club in that part of town is going to get my shoes stepped on and my outfit messed up, why the fuck am I still going over there? Man, because they got music I like. Everybody in America, everybody right now has a cell phone, and Bluetooth speakers are cheap as hell. You can go to Walmart right there in the line when you cashing out and get a Bluetooth speaker for $10. You're welcome. It's not that you don't perhaps understand it, and it's been shown to you for so long. Your ego has been trained and tinkered with, and your subconscious has been locked on to what everybody is. Not more like what you are, is what you want people to accept you as. I give you a prime example. A lot of people that know me now, that still know me from back then, there's certain aspects of myself that make me truer to myself than were truer of my past to who I was portraying to be. If you told me 5 years ago, we'll go back 5 years. If you told me 5 years ago that I would have a beard, I would have locks, I would have a nose ring, I would be wearing beads and crystals and all that stuff, I would look at you like you were a fucking fool. If I would looked at myself and told them that. If I went back and told my past, my lower self, that I would be plant-based and all these good things about myself, I wouldn't understand it because I'd be speaking light because I was at a different vibration. I was so worried about being accepted, so I put so much look onto my image and how I held myself. But at the end of the day, I was not fulfilled. I was empty. I didn't care what car I bought. I didn't care what chains I bought. I didn't care how much jewelry I put on. I don't care what outfit I put on, what pair of Wallabies I bought or Timbs I bought, whatever I bought. I remember there would be times I would have a moment. I would be in my place, and I'd be looking in my closet, and I just see a bunch of shoes on the ground. I see a bunch of shirts hanging in the closet. And I would go through some of the most rough patches in my life based on the things that I did. And then when it came time to actually really need something, nothing that I had held value for me to actually survive. Then I thought about it. I'm surviving in these moments. My image is more important than structuring myself to go somewhere. My intellect trumped my intuition. Just because I knew the variables of the issue, just because I knew the variables and understood the formulas, I didn't understand the disconnect of why the formula didn't work for me. It's because you can't solve a problem or an issue or whatever concern that's going on in your life from the same space that it was created in. A lot of us are stuck in a literal thought process of, I want to get back to something. We need to get back to our greatness. You never stop being great. Who told you stopped being great? Who told you stopped being great? They showed you images of you being a savage because they made you savages. Only thing a savage is anything that controls something that's not natural, conducive to their environment. That's what a savage is. A savage literally destroys the nature of something that's unnatural to its environment. That's what a savage is. So who's more savage? Your animal, your lower self is the savage. Your lower self is constantly until you start working from your higher self, doing that shadow work, your lower self is constantly going to conflict with your higher self. Those are the polarities. That's, you can activate into your God self, or you can activate into your lower self. If you don't understand how to maintain the energies and maintain this process, the polarities, they're going to always conflict. They're always going to conflict with each other. And then you'll find yourself giving your power still away to something else. If it's for you, I nod my head off to you. But don't come into my space telling me something that you built on or was built for you. We got to get out of the mindset. This is another mindset thing I wanted to get out before we get deep into, we get into the methodology in the lecture. Everything you're doing at this moment in time, in this space, we're going to use this, we're going to, since we build off images. Everything in between my hands, if you hold your hands up and go like this, everything that's in your field of vision is for you and you alone. On the collective consciousness level, yes, we'll all connect and we'll all start seeing these same things, but everything that you're going to move into and gravitate into is based on for you. You have 6 trillion cells in your body, all rooting for you to do the best. You have every ancestor, every energy in you within your higher self rooting for you to go to the next level. So stop getting connected to the physical memories and the counterparts and the conduits of your memories. The sentimental value, that shit don't matter. Man, but that was my mom. She kind of birthed me. When you were little, your mother figure said they always want the best, what's best for you. This is what's best for you. Father figure. I want you to be a stand-up. For most of us as young kings, as kings, I want you to be a stand-up motherfucker. I want you to stand in your truth. Stand in your truth. In order to stand in your truth, you must know your truth. You must know your knowledge. There's going to be rifts. There has to be rifts. Because there's no rift in your life, guess what? You're going to stay in that same space. If there's no rift of negative based on what's positive for you and what's negative for them, that makes the negative polarities, you're not going to go forward. You're not going to be, you have to get uncomfortable in being comfortable. You have to get uncomfortable with being comfortable. You have to get comfortable with not being complacent. it's nice. It's a nice thought on what you're learning and what you're engaging into, but it's based on for you. Every time you speak, your words, if they're in truth, they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. There's no need to worry if it's doing what it's supposed to do because it's already doing what it's supposed to do. The truth burns away all the lies. So just by you speaking about it, it burns it away. But what we get stuck on, especially when people are in the conscious community, they get stuck on, I got to go save my people. That's the same thing the preacher tells his flock, his congregation. So how can you either become what you love. No, wait, I always say that mixed up. You either become what you hate or you become what you love on the same conduit. Some people hate white people so much. Of course, yes, because that was a part of that. Nobody can save you but you, because don't nobody know you better than you. And that's what we keep. That's a lot of the times that people are stuck at now. It's like, instead of me going, okay, I know I can't save my people, but let me go over here and cause an uproar. I call them my stories. When I look at a lot of these, watch YouTube videos all the time. 9 times out of 10, those will be my stories. Let's go see what the Hebrew Israelites or the Power Rangers, whatever people call them, are going to go say to the Hotep people. I know they're going to argue. Somebody's going to get heated. The other person's not going to get heated. Talking about this is what we need to save our people. I don't care about people. I haven't been a person for a long time. The only thing that you can do is lead by example. How do you lead by example? By building and putting yourself in a position to where it comes to the point when you're sharing that knowledge and you're getting that knowledge out there, you have an example of what to go from, so they can learn from it. Until you do that, you really ain't doing anything. Except for everybody want to stand in this room and be they're some of the smartest dummies in the room, because you've proven that you have more intellect. Intellect is the highest rung for being a human. Outside of you, since we want to talk about people like to say stuff about white people, intellect, someone can sit there and literally read a book and tell you everything that's in that book. But to do one of three things: not give you the book title. They'll not give you the book title. They'll make it seem so out of reach that you don't want to go reach for it. And then keep you in a space where you feel like you're dumb or they're superior to you. I did a breakdown video Thursday. No. Was it Thursday? It was either Wednesday or Thursday of this week. It was the Demiurge versus Lucifer. And then that made me think about, I was actually watching the show Lucifer. And based on what I understand about media in that aspect, I was like, wow, they really seem to push this Lucifer thing. Like Lucifer is this bad person. But in this show, they try to make, if anybody's seen the show Lucifer, they made Lucifer like he's not bad. He's actually trying to find himself. The reality of it is, based on how you survive is detrimental to how you rise. So if you look at the breakdown in the metaphysical terms, Lucifer is your root chakra. Lucifer is your root chakra. Where everybody gets stuck on this Haru phase of Haru and Horus, and that's your heart chakra. So everything you read about Horus, that's your heart chakra. The green plane where they talk about Jesus being offered all these riches of the earth. And then up here, this is the Christ realm, the God realm, where you rise to become the Christ, and you go sit beside your Father in your head, that's your pineal gland, or the Osiris mythos. That's all about up here in your brain and underworld. What has been done to us is you were separated from your spirituality, your spiritual presence. So then how they do that? By teaching you to be afraid of death. Every book on enlightenment, in its own words, sometimes repeating the same words, they say enlightenment is like death. So the reason a lot of us are afraid to actually engage into our full enlightenment, our full selves, is because we're afraid to die. We're afraid to transition. So what are you holding on to? That's where you get the term light as a feather. And you listen to that in any a code book when they talk about magic, light as a feather, stiff as a board. Or weighing your heart against a feather. You're still holding on to the reason a lot of intentions and manifestations, a lot of works in magic doesn't work when you start to work into your divine sciences is because you're holding on to something. If I got a rock, if I have rocks in my fucking pockets and I'm trying to get to the next level, I'm trying to float up to the next level, I'm held down by what's waiting me. I'm held down by only what I put in my own pockets, what I'm holding on to. I'm going to say it like this. At this point in time, if it's not conducive to you rising, don't fuck with it to hold you back. Instead, look at it to understand. Then you understand why it's holding you back. Once you sit back and observe. Sit back. If you haven't done already, sit back and observe. Look at everything that's going on in your life. See what you can detach yourself away from immediately, and then see what you have to, the other things that seem more complex to detach from, take the steps in order to step away from it. Here's what you're going to learn. Nothing, of course you're going to learn nothing's holding you back but yourself and your lack of knowledge. Your lack of knowledge is what's holding you back from going to the next level. A lot of the knowledge that we're getting right now is just regurgitated. So it gets you to a certain point. It gets you to the door of enlightenment. But in order to get through the door of enlightenment, all that shit that you learned, you have to realize that wasn't outside of you. That was of you. In order to get more, you have to be willing to die. Killing your humanity is the key to the next level. A lot of people want to man, we need more black businesses. We need more black this. We need more this. We need more Black Lives Matter and this. All those are triggers that are holding you here. If anything, if you say we need more black businesses, how about you do this? How about you create an outlet? Man, I can't be putting my shit on Facebook, man. They keep taking my shit down and putting me in jail. Why don't you commit your own community app? That can be done. How about you create your own community app? That way, everybody that's on your platform, on your vibration, can tune in to your platform that you created, and then y'all can build from there. Y'all still want to go down here, live down here, but think up here. How they say it, champagne dreams on a beer budget. Y'all are stuck on a budget that was given to you. Y'all stuck on something being given to you. But then you wonder why you can't use it to get anything else. You can't use what was given to you back then now, other than reference, other than to learn from. After you learn from it, after you gain the reference, after you gain the traction of the knowledge from it, go forward. Now you're connect. That's how you connect to the divine channels, and then go forward from it. Knowledge is infinite. Therefore, learning is infinite. Therefore, knowledge is infinite. Therefore, learning is infinite. A lot of us get stuck in the paradigm of, I'm going to try to learn A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I'm going to learn this over and over and over and over again. I'm going to learn this over and over. I'm going to stay here. You'll hear a lot of people talk about, man, fuck the Bible. Okay. Man, I don't understand people in the Bible and when they keep saying all these things. And man, it just makes me upset, man, because our people are still lost. The only reason that you're getting a reflection that people are still lost is because you're still lost. The only reason things keep coming back up in your life on that spiral because you didn't learn from it yet. A lot of us are still stuck in that paradigm. A lot of people get stuck in that little spot. Why can't I get past this? Because you're stuck in something that you haven't learned from yet. There's something in that spot you haven't learned from. Man, there's something in that spot, man, I ain't learned from. Instead of looking at it as, why is this happening? This is when I broke that down in generational curses. Instead of saying, why is this happening? What is this teaching me? It shifts your whole paradigm. What is this teaching me? What is this showing me? They killed another young black boy in the media, in the news. What is that showing me? It's showing me that they don't value me at all. Maybe if I go back and look at the history of the Constitution, going into the dark. Part of that is the meditation. It's part of the meditation process. There's one feature that I tell a lot of people is the first thing that you do as you're going into the dark. Going into the dark, so easily explained, is the parts of yourself. This is what shadow work is. Shadow work is going into yourself, into those attributes of you that you don't like people seeing. Today's lecture is brought to us by Unreal Candy. These shits are like 3,000 times better than M&M's. Way better than M&M's. Anyway, but yes, going into the dark is similar, like, when you close your eyes and you go into meditation. Meditation teaches you how to still your mind. The other practices such as chakra spinning, which I'm studying on now. I'm studying on a lot of things that I haven't studied on before. But chakra spinning, as you go into your meditation, it teaches you how to still your mind into that moment. It teaches you how to clear your mind, clear your space. Once you've cleared the space, as you're going into yourself, that's when you're going into those things about yourself that you don't like, or the things that you fear about yourself, or the things that quite necessarily you don't want to be shown. Those are the things that you have to look at first. A lot of the times when we go through our dream, we go into that dream realm, and our subconscious is having that conversation with us, we see all this scary shit. We'll see like clowns and dogs and stuff that we're scared of. These things are actually leading us to go into the direction of where we need to go to in our dreams. So if you have let's say you have a dream about dogs, a bunch of dogs barking, and they're barking. If you're learning how to understand and still yourself, you'll sit there and you'll be like, all these dogs, there's a dog, like, for example, you have a dog barking to the left of you, to the right of you, and behind you. These dogs, every time you try to walk this way, the dog is barking. Every time you look at this way, the dog's barking. Every time you look behind you, the dog's barking. But there's no dog barking when you walk in front of you. Walk forward. The dogs are not sitting there to tell you to stay away from something. They're leading you in the direction you need to go. Because your subconscious is speaking to you. Your subconscious is never going to hurt you. It's your mind. Your ego is the thing that once you get to deeper understanding, your ego is what will leave your ass fucking hurt. Because it'll keep putting you in situations that make you feel good, but are detrimental to you actually moving it. So, similar to the music that's playing in the background is a binaural beat. I believe this binaural beat is, let me look at it real quick. I have it on here. It's a theta realm beat. I listen to these all the time, even when I'm not meditating, because I'm always once you get more in tune with yourself, you always have yourself in a state. I'm always in an alpha mindset. That means I'm always in my alpha waves. I'm always in a state of meditation. I'm always in a state maintaining myself to project and move myself around on this space, because I'm no longer of this space. I'm no longer a part of this space. I'm no longer I know I'm of this space, but I'm not a part of this space. Breaking yourself away in the mindset of like that meditation literally puts you in the mindset of you are extracting yourself from the space, yet you still can operate in it. Therefore, you're putting yourself in a state of you're submitting to the ideals of the space by the attributes of it. So, for example, if I go to the smoke shop up the street from my house and buy some wraps, there can be a person in there that, and this is some advanced shit. This is actually advanced. This is the space we need to get to. There's a person that stays in the same complex that's always up there in the corner, always yelling something out about Jesus. Always. As you can see, I have my Ox on. I might have my Lucifer seal on, sigils on, my Baphomet sigils on, suckers. I might have my stuff on. And he will always try to stop me to have a conversation with me based on where I'm at and how I'm lost. I submit to the attributes of what would appease him, because all he wants is some money for some alcohol. Some people are looking for an argument. So I submit to the attributes, and what I'll say is, you're right. So a mindset for you to start working on, people to start working on, if someone is coming at you, tell them they're right. Even if you say, you're saying it in a sarcastic manner, say you're right. It stunts their ego. It also stunts your ego. Because now your ego will start letting in stuff. It'll start letting you, let you tap into your subconscious of understanding. So now as you move forward, you can get as dark as you want. Wait, what were we talking about? Oh, yeah. But that dark space in you, everything dark is usually something that you haven't embraced yet. And I've broken this down in previous lectures, such as the word demon. The word demon, coming from the Latin word daemon, which means intelligence, wizard, magic, deity, all these things. And then you go into the thought process of, you were told for years and years and decades and years upon years that your ancestors were demonic. You got to go back to the time when that word was first put into that word, the etymology of the word and what they meant by it. See, they separated you from actually thinking. Intellect has nothing to do with thought whatsoever. When you're a baby, that's how you learn, through intellect. That's like the repetition of like cold and hot, cold and hot. If I touch this and it's hot, it hurts. I learned that was hot. My intellect allowed me to understand that that's hot. That's cold. My intellect allowed me to understand that that's cold. That's intellect. What we're separated from is we're under a reflection of thinking that us being intellectual coincides with our spiritual intelligence or our intuition. So we may know something, but our intuition tells us something else. And since we're trained to submit to our traumas in that aspect, since we're taught to submit to our traumas in that aspect, we'll follow what we know instead of going into what we don't know. That's similar to someone, so that's where that piety comes in. That piety, that narrow-minded, that rigidness, that's where that comes into. That's where that comes into play. So we'll sit here, and if I sit here and say, I could say something all day about crystals and meditation and the Zen or the Yin, but the minute that I start talking about the darker aspects or the Yang, that's when someone will be like, nah, we don't get into that over here. We're about love and light. You're unbalanced. Let us pray. I want to pray for the light. Okay. That's nice. Pray for the light. But common sense, when you just look at it, when you pray, you usually pray with your eyes closed. So you literally close your eyes, similar to when you meditate, just having a conversation with yourself. And based on you being sure with yourself is how you basically paint out the picture. And then you open your eyes to the light again. You literally went into the dark to create a new aspect or angle of light. That's what it means about the angles of light. When you look at the principles, now they use as the angels. In Christianity, or if you're a Christian or anything under Christianity, you're Catholic. So when I say Catholic or Catholicism, all of that is Christian. All of that is Christian. So in Christianity, they use it as angels. Michael, Raphael, Samael, Lucifer, Gabriel. They use the angels. In Islam, they use the 99 attributes of Allah. I forgot what they're using the Torah in Hebrew. I'm going to look that up. In Kemetic science, they use the divine principles. They use the divine principles to Tahuti and Thoth and Anubis, Osiris. As you go further ahead, you look at the Orisha, they use Shango, Oya, and that in the Congo rites, and when they were doing it in Cuba and Haiti, that's when they started using El Cristo Negro, Mama de la Huete, and all these things. They're all of the same they're different Patreons, they're different Patreons used to explain it in that link. They're a different fragment from the same knowledge. Different fragment of the same knowledge. It's just that when it gravitated that way, they built upon it based on the structure of where they were at. But it all meant the same thing. A lot of the things that we look at, when you look at the Congo rights, the people on the island, our island family, so they didn't get beat up or tortured or knocked off by the slave master. They said the saints' names, but they were really empowering, invoking the ancestor names of the Orishas or the Congo rights. That's what they were using. What we've gotten stuck on is not understanding them angles of light, because we've been told it's demonic. So when you hear somebody say something's demonic and you go back to that time frame and you understand the demonic meant intelligence, when they were telling you that your ancestors were demonic, what they were telling you was your ancestors, you come from a lineage and an ancestry that had an intelligence that surpassed our intellect. Turn that all the way around, you understand why the pyramids were built, why all these different things were built. That's why we built these things. As we were coming into a space of going to sleep, this is all broken down in Hermetic text, Gnostic text, and we're going to get deeper into the Gnostic text. Basically, I wanted to say something about the Gnostic priests. The Gnostic priests literally were anti-everything. They were anti-humanity. But they were getting you into the aspect of understanding that the human shit don't mean shit. The mind doesn't mean shit. That's similar to when they said they took them, whenever the Egyptians would take the brain out, they move the brain out through the nose, throw the brain away, throw the whole brain away. Because it wasn't about the thought or the intellectual, it was about how it was applied to the heart. That's why whenever you look at these pictures and they give you an image, I remember my grandmother always said it to me. She was like, it's not about the words, it's about the heart. And that resonates always with me. It's not about the words, it's about the heart. And she was talking about, she had a little Jesus air. I think all our grandmothers had a little Jesus air freshener in their car. Or even today, they got that little Jesus air freshener. It's not about the words, it's about the heart. It's not about the messenger, it's about the message. It's about gravitating and gaining that greater understanding on that level. Because if you're not gravitating and understanding that level on that level, you get stuck in taking sweet baby Jesus, and you don't want to represent him anymore. Now you want to go, I want to represent Haru. Or I don't want to do Haru anymore. I want to do Allah. All of these aspects are teaching you about yourself. The 99 attributes of Allah are teaching about you. The whole entire story is telling you that you, if you do these things and perform these tasks, and take the understanding of understanding each one of these levels of tasks, you too can walk on water, my friend. You can do great things, whether it be based upon the traumas that took you to where you're going. So people are getting stuck on, I want this to happen, and I want this to happen, and I want this to happen because they said this would happen. That's not meant for you, boo-boo. That's not meant for you. Because if it was meant for you, you would have the diagram for it. everybody's path is not the same for a purpose. If all of our paths were the same, we couldn't learn anything. If everybody's life was structured the exact same, we wouldn't learn anything. If everybody's chasing the American dream, doing it the same exact way, you're all going to get the same exact fucking result. That's insanity. But guess what you get to learn from? What's right here in plain sight. They'll tell you they do some of the most evil acts. They're doing some of the most heinous things in the world to affect you physically. You're scared to die, so you're scared to jump, so you're scared to move. What are you scared of? The only thing you're scared of is the lack. The only thing that you should be scared, the only thing that you should be fearful of is not learning. Because every day you don't learn is a day that you die. Every day that you don't learn is a day that you die. Comedic proverb. So that's why most of the people walking around now walk around like fucking zombies. And then you want to go play Captain Save a Nigga. Motherfucker gonna go play Captain Save a Nigga. I'm gonna go save my people. I'm gonna go help my people. Some people are in the scenery. You going around trying to go help these people, and you going through more pain than the people that you're trying to help. Not realizing that the shit they're going through, they're supposed to go through to get to the next level. You going over there helping them is doing nothing but hindering them. It hinders them and it hinders yourself. Because you'll go put so much energies go helping your people, and then you'll go back to your house and not have anything. And then you expect, not accept, you expect someone to do the same for you. I've done this for my people. I've done this for so many people. I've done this for so many people. Here you go, boosting your ego, trying to make yourself with that false pride. I ain't doing shit for nobody else. I'm going to tip my hat off to you. Cool, don't do nothing for nobody else. The moment that you step away is remember that you can see everything. I can't see anything in the box. I can't see anything about the box if I'm inside the box. I can't see anything that I need to fix if I'm inside the problem. I can't see the environment for what it is if I'm inside that environment. If I'm locked inside that space, how can I do anything inside that space to fix myself? That's similar to people that get stuck in their dark. They don't want to go into the dark of themselves or do that shadow work of themselves. Now I don't want to go there. Why? It's you. It's ultimately you. The longer that you don't go into your dark spot to yourself, is the longer everything's going to reflect. Everything that shows outside of you is going to offend you. Everything's going to offend you based on outside of you because you haven't fixed stuff that the conflict is inside of you. You can change your hair. You can cut your hair. You can put on a hat. You can put on glasses. You can put on eyelashes. You can take your eyelashes off and draw eyebrows off and redraw them in any shape that you want. You at the end of the fucking day. You just changed the outward image of you. You just changed something that was more accepting to the public. But the moment somebody says something about you, you get upset. Why? Did you do it for them or for you? People's hatred is based on a lack of understanding. So if you hate somebody, it's for your lack of understanding. It can be something as simple as you don't understand why they would do something. And then when you look at the why they're doing something, you don't understanding what they came through. That's that psychological program. We're all everybody. We're all no. That's ignorant. Why would you actually think that you're like somebody else? collectively on that vibration, on that spiritual level, we all on that, we all equal. You feel me? We're just different points of the universe seeing the other parts of the universe. Just like I'm sitting here having this conversation, we're sitting here having this conversation, and I'm delivering this information. I'm one side of the universe showing to other facets of the universe. As I'm learning how to speak, you're learning how to take it in. And then how you apply it to your universe, your part of the universe, in that prismatic form, sends that light out. That's that light bearing. So I'm bearing light to you from my darkness. So I'm bearing light. I'm the light bearer. I'm the light bringer. I'm the morning star. That spookism have you scared. I see church signs all the time talking about free thinking is the service of the devil. Devil ain't nothing but a polarity. From the dark comes light. Even when you break down the Bible, the morning star, in one chapter, they say Lucifer is the son of the morning star. And in Revelations, Jesus says he's the morning star. So they're the same energy. They're two separate sides. They're positive and negative polarities of the same energy, of the same space. Inside of you is your doppelganger, or your spirit self. That's your higher astral self. That's the self you're trying to get back to on that top level when you take yourself into the God realm, the God frequency. That's where you're working to get towards. That's where the learning is infinite from. Because every single day you're learning yourself. Every single day you're looking back and you're sitting back and you're learning yourself. The more you learn yourself, the more you actually start to observe the things around you based on what you're learning. If you've been living, that's like similar to if you've been selling weed, dime bags of weed for 10, 20 years, and you haven't graduated to at least QPs or bricks or whatever, what are you doing it for? If you've been sitting there working at that CNA job for years upon years, and you haven't gravitated to registered nurse or anything higher than that, you complaining about your situation is on you. If you've been working at a job for 4, even 5, even 10, 20 years, slaving away, but you complaining because they don't pay you anymore, either evolve or stay insane. The moment you don't need anything is to realize you'll get everything you need. The moment you don't need it, the moment you sit here and realize, the longer you think that you want and need something, the longer you're going to want and need something. The more that you sit here and pray to something, the more energy you give it to pray upon something. Because all you're doing is waiting for something. When I talk about praying, you're hoping upon a star that something feels sorry enough for you to come into your field of vision for you to attach to it. If you're stuck on racism and the white supremacy, if you're stuck on this needing a leader for this or a leader for this, if you say you need a black leader, you're always going to need a black leader because you're afraid to lead yourself, because you're afraid to put the work in. The only person that can lead you better than you is you. The only person that can grant you everything that you want is you. The only person that's going to put in more work than you is the other person putting more work in for themselves. Once you start thinking this way, your entire life changes. Darren fucking T. Your entire life changes because you're not coming from the space or the mentality that is below you. When you get into the physical, when you come into the physical realm, you have submitted yourself to a demiurge. The demiurge energy. They took you that whole story about, and I thought about this. Thought about it long and hard while I was doing the research. Every single day, you see all these technological advancements. But if you go back and realize there's nothing new under the sun, everything from light bulbs to hair care has already been done. Surgeries, all that shit has already been done. And then I remember being younger and someone was like, my pops would always say is like, they always trying to play God. It wasn't until a couple weeks ago that I realized we're the guys that they're trying to play as. Everything outside of you just simply trying to perceive itself as you based on what it understands. That's why you're always seen as one thing or another. Everybody you meet has a different perception of you based on what they get from you. Everybody that sees you is a different reflection of a different perspective based on their need from you. If you get stuck on that, that's where you get stuck in your growth. So you can literally sit there, literally, and because your mother was your mother, and you don't want to be, your mother says it all, your mother, aunt, whoever, you'll always be my little girl. You'll always be my baby boy. You'll always be my son. In reality, that's a stifling trigger. Because subconsciously, you go back to that comfortable space in your mind when you were just a child and you don't grow. You go back into that small little space. I remember when you were this, and now you're trying to live up to what you were. You're trying to live up to what you were. You're trying to live up to who they thought you were. Instead of evolving to what you actually are. And that's based upon your acceptance of yourself, not of anybody else. I don't care what anybody else thinks about me because I know who I am. I know what I am. I know what I embody. I know the energies and the power and the knowledge that I possess, and I use that to define me. The one, and it works itself out. Once you get into that thought process and remove that ego and kill that humanity part, it works itself out. Man, but I lost so many friends. So that doesn't mean there's less space at your table that you gotta feed everybody. If you're in that thought process, I gotta feed everybody at my table, because that's our natural mentality. Make sure everybody eats. Everybody eats. Not everybody deserves to eat at your table. Let us pray. The same people that you're praying for are praying for your down. They pray for you down to fall so they can be like, yeah, we got him back. They pray for you in your relationship to fall. That way you can go back out and continue being the single lady crew. Hot girl summer. Dudes in your homeboys in your life that really ain't about shit are hoping that you and your girl break up so y'all can go out and be fucking hoes again. Everything that happens in your life is based on for you, not anybody else. If you're in a relationship with somebody and you coming into your consciousness and they're not conscious or they're not waking up, if it's detrimental, you might be the person that's needed for them to go to the next level, to take themselves to the next level. But after a while, if you can't do certain things, you can't build your altars and you can't go meditate and you can't talk about the things that help you elevate, let that shit go. See, we get stuck on that. We get stuck on that all the time. They showed that in that Tyler Perry movie, Why Did I Get Married? She was sitting there praying the entire time for something to happen to change the unharden his heart and all that shit. And then talk about the Pharaoh did the same thing, harden his heart and shit. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. The knowledge will set you free, but it will fuck you up first. The knowledge will set you free, but it'll fuck you up first. Those meditations in the beginning, them dreams, when you start breaking down and understanding your dreams and start getting into lucid dreaming and sound therapy and all these different aspects, the different levels of spirituality, that truth is going to fuck you up. It's going to fuck you up. I can't say this enough. It is going to fuck you up. But it's going to make you better. It's going to better you for the next level that you get to. But if there's weight on your heart, you're going to keep repeating the same shit until you get that weight off. It's similar to being on the corner and you got them rocks in your side. And all you're thinking about is a watch. It ain't about the watch. It ain't about the time. It's about how many rocks you release, you get off while you're on that clock. It's the same thing about gathering this knowledge. It's how many seeds you start to disperse and how much you start to apply it that matters. It doesn't matter if it don't make sense. After a while, you're going to get to a point when you're getting into your knowledge where shit ain't going to make sense. The shit that you said, that you read 6-7 months ago is going to contradict the shit that you learned right now. But you'll see the stream, when it's true, it all follows the same context. So you can go all the way back and you can see how it connected and made that whole thing lay to that point. That's that key. That's that major key of that. And I sit here and eat my organic chickpea puffs. Shit. Let's go into a little bit of methodology real quick as I open up my magical device. We're going to break down submission real quick. Since I wanted to start breaking down shadow work. This book is called Shadow Work in the Sacred Space. Opener to the book was, I realized that it was my task. I realized it was my task of tasks to find out what myth I was living. I'm going to the page. With me. I got time for it. This is what they're writing in their books that you don't want to read. You may believe that in the theory that all people are created equal, or at least deserve equal opportunity. Whether embraced as a stance of democratic principles, an ideal of ethical behavior, or as a religious conviction, it is an important idea. So what does myth have to say about equality? Are we told that all are equal? On the contrary, myth explains in often gruesome detail the inequalities that people feel and experience are in relation to each other. The story portrays on all manner of characters: gods, demigods, angels, devils, royalty, peasantry, sorcerers, witches, maidens, heroes, farmers, soldiers, monsters, often in deep conflict, if not in life and death struggle. In some tales of Grimm's Godfather Death, discuss the length of chapter 10, we are reminded that we are all equal in one sense. We all must face mortality. However, stories usually highlight the inequities in life, struggles that are played out within the family unit and then turn into a larger society. Basically, what you're going through is custom tailored to you. So since what you're going through is custom tailored to you, it is up to you to understand the why of what you're going through. We have to get disenfranchised with, I'm going to leave it to somebody else. That's where we get stuck at. Is getting stuck on the thought process of, I'm going to leave it to somebody else. That's what you say when you pray. I'm going to leave it to somebody else to handle these issues. But then you get upset when somebody says, I'm going to leave it up to you. You don't leave it up to me? Okay, cool. If I have to do all this work, this is what I need from you. So you sell yourself outward to gain knowledge to yourself. So you give someone else the keys to the car to drive you around. And then you're stuck. The entire movie Get Out, that's what that was talking about. Something outside of you values you more than you value yourself. That's why you can't go forward. Because something outside of you values you, has more value, understands your value more than you understand your own value. At this point in time, for you to pray, the only thing that I praise is the only goddess or the only goddess that I would praise is my queen. That's it. If you praising anything outside of yourself, what are you really doing? You're giving your power to somebody else. The only thing that you should give power to in that aspect is when you're giving worship to is you. You're the only deity that you should praise. That takes a whole nother level of confidence. That's true confidence. When you are so confident in yourself, because we do it all the time, but we just do it based off ego. See, ego will have you only focusing on the light parts of yourself. I'm beautiful. I have a strong voice. I can sing. I can do this stuff right here. These are the talents that I have. All your positive attributes. That's ego. Ego. You feed your ego. When you're starving your ego to feed your soul, because your soul is of the dark, your soul is of that fire, to help that fire rise. I said, as you're letting that Kundalini energy rise to burn everything else away, you feed it the negative parts of yourself that you learned to yourself that no longer benefits you. That's what the Phoenix rising story is. From the ashes I rise. That's what that's what all Phoenix myths are about. The energy that's within you that you need to work on, all that negative shit, that's shit you need to work on. We don't sell our strengths. We sell our weaknesses. Your strengths are free. You give your strengths out every single day. But you have to sell somebody or sell to yourself with your weaknesses. You got to sell your weaknesses. Like, yeah, I do this and this and this. I got this and this going on. But behind these scenes, these are the things that are really what I'm working on. If you can't look in the mirror and sell your weaknesses to yourself, how do you expect anybody else to love you for you? This aspect for us is, simply put, I want somebody to accept me for me when you shouldn't accept anything. The only thing that you should be is expecting, not your expectations never happen the way you want them to. You must get expectations out of your mind. A lot of people actually set their intentions based on expectations. That's why it never works out the way it works out, because it's continuously moving. You must accept what comes based on your intention. When you set your intentions in order to be manifested, you have to set into your mind, when you set into your subconscious that intention, you also have to accept everything that comes that is needed for that intention to take root. You can't expect good company in a dirty house. The only thing you can expect in a dirty space, in a filthy, dirty ass space, is dirty ass people. And what are dirty ass people? Dirty ass people say anything slick. A dirty ass person or a negative ass person will literally come in your space saying, "Oh, don't worry about it." But when you're not around, that's the information that they got to use. And that's based off the gossip and all the other stuff. Everything that happens in your life is a reflection of what you do. Therefore, if you ain't comfortable doing it, why the hell are you in your life? Why are you so accepting of shit that's detrimental to how you move? Remember, everything's a learning experience. Everything. You can learn from everything. But you gotta get out of your head that positive. You gotta get out of your head that negative and positive shit. You gotta get out of your head that bad and good shit. That humanity, that morality, that piety bullshit. Get that out of your fucking head. It's negative and positive. That same glass of water can quench your thirst and drown you if you let it. That same flame that can light the pilot that fry you them chicken wings can be the same pilot that can burn your whole fucking house down. So they're good or bad, or they're negative and positive. Once you start understanding this, you will understand how to learn better. Your ability to think and logic to learn opens. You can look at something like, if you start, put it like this, if you're still stuck on the physical manifestations of things, or on the physical realm, you still sleep. If the physical shit still bothers you, you still sleep. If the physical shit still bothers you, you still sleep. You're still in the beginning phases. You ain't wiped the crust out your eyes yet. Because until you realize that everything starts in the astral realm above you to come into your thoughts, to create physically, until you realize that you are the beacon for all of it to come through. So whatever I put up here in the realm of your thoughts, you're going to create for me. That's how I continue to win. That's why I can go shoot a bunch of y'all in the street, because I know how you're going to react. The devil doesn't know your thoughts, higher and lower. Your root chakra only knows how to survive. From the root, you only know how to survive because it's based on survival. So if you're rising your energy based on your survival, everything you do, even when it comes to your heart, will be based off you surviving. So you're only going to speak based off survival. Therefore, you're only going to see based on survival in that space. But if you understand the beginnings of your survival, then you can graduate to the pleasures based on your survival and grow from your pleasures and understand what you're embracing. So you're embracing more. Therefore, you can put more energy to open your heart to speaking more truth and seeing more clearly. Then you can sit at your God space and survey and look at everything the way you want it to be made. Those are the keys. Let us pray. That's the thought process. Your mental clarity, your clearing your mental mind is moving all these old processes and old paradigms that no longer suit you. In order to remove something, you must first understand the lock. You must first understand the biometrics of what it is, the alchemical composition of what made the lock in the first place, the alchemical composition of what made the books in the first place. The only reason that it can resonate with you is because it's a part of you. Once you extract the parts that are a part of you and expound upon those parts, everything else will burn away. Once you understand the composition of what something is that is a part of you, or what you're a part of, that's how you can separate away from it. Submit to the attributes of the ideal that is in front of you in order to move and learn everything about that ideal. Submit to the attributes of the ideal that is in front of you in order to learn and move around that space. Understanding the spell gives you the upper hand. Checking your ego, starving your ego, allowed you to move more silent. This is the part that we're actually stuck in our communities because we get stuck in a thought process that of, man, I just want to see our people free. That's nice. I think Jay said it the best when he was like, I can't help out the poor if I was poor myself. So I got rich. That's how I helped myself. Stop getting stuck on the messenger, and look at the message. If you close your eyes, I did this example a while back when I did a little small class. Close your eyes, and if somebody told you everything about Trump, and you didn't know who Trump was, any of that stuff, and they said that they gave you all the attributes of Donald Trump with your eyes closed, and they said tell you about Obama, they give you the attributes of Trump, and the vice versa, you would think black and white. You would think Trump was a nigga, right? Most of us think Trump was a nigga. The thing that separates you basically is your culture. The more you understand yourself and your culture, the more easily you are able to gravitate and move in spaces that they cannot move in. Stop trying to take everybody with you, because not everybody is going to go with you. Stop trying to take all this weight with you into a space that it ain't going to fit. The moment you start doing that, the minute everything's going to start working out for you. Stop putting yourself in positions that are not beneficial for you to learn from and to rise through. Stop jumping in front of buses that are meant to hit that person. That person needs to get hit by that fucking bus. That person needs to hit that damn current in that water and get taken away and drowned a little bit. That person needs to get hit by that heat a little bit. That's not your job. Your job is not to save anybody but yourself. That's one of the most hardest things for us to do as a people, is to separate from the toys. A lot of black people, melanated beings, whatever you want to call yourself, don't want to let go of the toys. They don't want to let go of the spoils of the war that they don't even know that they're in. They don't want to let go of that paycheck. They don't want to let go of that ability to go in the bathroom and take selfies at work while they're on the clock. They don't want to let go of that company card that lets them get free gas and gets these little benefits. They don't want to let go of the benefits. What you need to learn is, that learning period, I have to go through the struggle in order to get to my next self. Every level requires a new you. Therefore, it's going to require a new sacrifice and a new set of trials. If you get stuck, man, I went through that shit before. I don't want to go through it again. You're going to be stuck back there in the then. You're going to get stuck. You'll be stuck literally back there, and you can't make any more progress because it's just going to come up again later on. until you learn from it, you're gonna keep repeating it. You're gonna get stuck in that. You're gonna get stuck in that same damn space. I remember when I first came into my awareness, and I was all happy about. I was like, yeah, gods of Egypt, that was us, and this, and that, and all that powerful, the greatness of our past. And then I got hit and stuck on the Willie Lynch shit and the prisoners of war shit and the sugar cane and the babies getting eaten by alligators and all that shit. I got stuck on that. So as I got stuck in that space, I got stuck in that hatred. I got stuck in that little hatred bubble. And then I would only pertain myself to Black knowledge. Only stuff written by us is the only stuff I would go look at. But then I found myself separated because we only wrote the so far. So we only got to the information about ancient Kemet or the Kemetic science or the Moorish sciences, but there was still fragments missing. And then I found Bobby Hemmett. Phil Valentine, Bobby Hemmett. Then I found Bobby Hemmett. That took my mind past all the light shit, all the Ra and Osiris and Bastet and Sekhmet and all that stuff, all that good stuff, all the sun shit, into the dark shit, the Set, Lucifer. Because what was done by our ancient priests and our ancestors, similar to like if you watch Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skulls, or any movie that always has something ancient, every time they come to a door, a certain door, every time they come to a certain door, they always had that scary ass image on the door. The priest understood, and that's why they wrote it that way. Similar to like, I'm gonna do a small breakdown. I'm gonna get back to that part. All the aspects or the principles of Set were later on broken into the Osiris, Anubis, Tahuti, and all these things. This is what Bobby Hemmett breaks that down. So when you're looking at the beginning origin, it's from the dark, and then they created the light sources, the different angles, in order to understand that dark. The same thing with ourselves in this present moment in time. All these dark spots inside of us better help us navigate to who we truly are. So that narcissistic ass dude that you was with, the narcissistic ass chick that you was with, bitch came from witch, which came from the Germanic term witch, which came into the original witch. So when an old white man calls you an old black bitch, it's actually a compliment based on what they don't understand. You got to go past what phases you emotionally to understand it rationally. That's how you expand your mind. That's how you grow into your higher self. That's how you get more in tune with your higher self. See how that makes sense? That's how you get more in tune with your higher self. The dark aspects or these principles of light help you navigate through the dark. So the dark is where you create from. The dark leads into the feminine aspect or the spiritual realm, the unseen or the occult. That's what the occult is. The occult is the study of the hidden. Alchemy is the science of creating from the dark or the nothingness. It's all you. That's how you find the balance. So the more I understand of the dark, the more I can create these new angles for me to move in. That's how you get into the principles of when you're talking about the angels or the angles of light. See how the angles of light versus the balances of darkness, they have to balance out. So what's in our physical realm at this moment in time is we're the dark and they're the light. They're only sustaining things that we've already created. In order to sustain it and to keep that imbalance, they got to keep you from going into the dark to actually create some new shit. Because this is all they have. In your world right now, there's people in your life right now, Gary motherfucking T, that outside of what you're learning and you're going through now, anything outside of what they know, that's all they're happy with. You got a friend right now ready to go to happy hour. Right now. Probably sent you 19 texts. We going out to drink, but you're up at now, as I tap on my phone, at 10:21 p.m., building on a new vibration. That's where you at right now. You're building on a new vibration. You're building on a new curve. Getting back into it with the angels of light, and we'll use Michael, which was God's messenger, which is actually, he wrote the word of God. Metatron wrote the word of God, which was actually Tahuti. And then Michael would be Thoth. When you start breaking down and understanding these sciences, I'm actually going to start breaking down the 99 attributes of Allah. That's some very, it's actually not as complex as people actually think it is. It's actually the same thing. It's just, what they did was, they took the principles of said Osiris and all the Kemetic, and then they condensed it by making it seem more complex. So they filled it up. They broke down the fragments even more, and then they created the 99 attributes of Allah. And then they built like this pyramid to it to all connect to one thing. Basically, they took the substructure of how the universes work and everything builds down to where it is with the pyramid that leads down to you. It all leads up to you. It's all you. That's why you look at the story of Jacob's ladder and the struggling pineal, the pineal gland, and you think about the 33 vertebrae or the 33 degrees of masonry, all of it's the same exact thing. The thing that they put in there is that fear aspect. They put that fear aspect formula in there. And then they put that death aspect in there. So since you're fearing death, all you want is the knowledge. But in order to apply the knowledge, you gotta kill yourself first. You can have every book that you want. You can read books on Wiccas, you can read books on astrology, numerology, sacred geometry. But if you're not willing to die, the shit don't activate. Even in the resurrection story of Jesus, that nigga had to die to go unlock Lazarus, which was the shadow form of himself. Like that was that shadow self. To go he had to go into hell again to learn to unlock Lazarus to get to his higher self. That's what that is. And then when you look at Revelation, it says, "Devil, get behind me." He was fully competent of his energy so he could step through his shadow and get into the light. That's what you need to get to. You gotta die first. The key to it is dying without the death. Dying without the natural concept of death that they gave you. Energy doesn't die. It simply transmutes forth and transcends to its next level. The reason this shit keep happening is because you're afraid to die. That door that you need to walk through, that's the door called death. And you have to walk through death in order to As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I see no evil, I fear no evil. It's been written in front of you, but we don't have critical thinking, so we're not thinking how to put it all together. It's all fragments. All this knowledge puts it all together so you can actually walk through it. It's a step by step, day by day. So what are you scared of? You get stuck on the sentiment. I'm just gonna do this for the kids. Fuck them kids. How Bernie Mac said in that movie? Fuck them kids. Your kids are living examples of you. They're gonna learn from you regardless. So if you don't structuring, if you're not putting together the structure and foundation, they're bound to repeat the same shit. Same thing for you. If you're not putting together the foundation, you're bound to repeat the same shit. You in a race and don't even know you're in a race. Let alone being in a war, you don't even know you're in a war. But you got an upper hand. You got the spiritual part. You got the spirit. You got the super. You got the actual intelligence. But because you're afraid of how somebody's going to react to you saying some shit, you don't want to go do it. I look at my Facebook page all the time, and I love every witch that's on my damn page. Love them all because they're embracing that darkness. You got to embrace the darkness first. That's the only way you can create anything new. Because once you understand the darkness, you can understand the angels of light in order for you to move. And then you start understanding what a cult actually means. It's to move in plain sight. That's what that's submitting. Frank Rudolph does that book, Psychastria, and he teaches you about, he breaks down the methodologies about submitting to that ideal. That's kind of like to anybody that got my when I put the invite out and the flyer out, I always put something on the flyer that is going to force you. Exactly. I put on the flyer to me, it's some fly artwork at this point in time. But I put some shit that's going to force you to think that if I go through this, there's no coming back. If I go through it, there's no coming back. And that's true. What are you afraid of going through something? You already been through the worst by your own admission by watching 12 Years of Fucking Slave or the Nat Turner movie or the Haitian riots or the countless other riots. You've been through all the shit in the physical form that was bad and you survived through that shit. And they lived their stories. That story lives on because your story, you live on through the stories that were told. So what are you really afraid of? Man, my people ain't gonna look at me the same no more. Fuck your people. Man, my girl don't like coming to my house no more, man, because I told her I built an altar and I put a Baphomet on it. The fuck are you scared of? I just covered my face and now I realized what I look like without facial hair. That was just some crazy shit. I just did that right now. If they're afraid of what you're trying to explore, losing them is just collateral damage. In war, there's collateral damage all the time. What sacrifices are you really willing to make is what you need to tell yourself. That's what really sacrifice really is. Whenever you heard a story about them doing animal sacrifices and sacrifices of somebody's body outside of you, Think about the greatest sacrifices of energy that you didn't tap into, that they did because you were scared of it, because you were under that thought process like they shouldn't be hurting our people. Hurricane Katrina, one of the biggest sacrifices that actually happened. All those black people sacrificed at once. And then when you go back into the debunking of the history, they sacrificed them all to Baron Samedi, the crossroads god, which is your energy. If you tapped into it, you would have had all the energy. You talk about your ancestors all the time. But how many of y'all are actually invoking your ancestors? How many of y'all are actually tapping into the energy of your ancestors? I tap into my ancestors' energy all the fucking time. You sit here and remember, man, my every time you say somebody's dead, they actually are dead. You kill them. When we celebrated back, when they first went to and saw the priest in the Kemetic, when you look at the Kemetic and you read the history of that, when they first saw the priest wearing all black, they thought that they were doing a funeral. But that's how they dressed all the time. Because in history, when we celebrated funerals, that was their release. So we celebrated their life. So every day, so it's like on the other side of the paradigm, when you start getting into more deep into that spirituality, and when you go into your sleep world, you go into that realm that you built for yourself, and you see your friend, you see your ancestors, and you see your grandmother and your great-great-grand roach or whoever, when you see them, they're living. Because they're not stuck in a body where they have to go shit every day. They have to feed it to make it move. So who's really living? Your birth date is actually your death date. That's the day you died. And every single day you was trying to get back to your life. You're trying to live your life and learn life, but you're actually learning death. You're not learning life, you're learning death. That way you can understand life. To understand life, you must understand death, and vice versa. And understand death, you must understand life. Right now, we're going through a process of understanding death, the detrimental lower parts of ourselves in order to get to our higher selves to become more worthy. That's the whole thought process of that. We're going through these detrimental phases in our lower selves, all that struggle, all that strife, all that pain, all that suffering, all those traumas, to unlock our higher self, to unlock the understanding of our higher self. You do that, everything changes. You do that, everything falls into place. Guaranteed. I'm not speaking from what I think. I'm speaking from what I know. I move in a different way than all my years in being sleep in just the last few months that don't even weigh out to that. All that shit that I did before don't even weigh or hold a candle to what I'm doing now. Because everything I'm doing is streamed into my passion. Everything is streamed into my gifts. Because every time I work on my gifts, everything else follows it. Whether it's the ability to be able to hold counsel and hold consultation, whether it's to hold you captive with me giving you that light, giving you that knowledge, that's the fulfillment part. The knowledge is the prosperity. Everything else follows that. I don't need nothing else but the knowledge, because the knowledge is going to take me to the next level. But I have to apply the knowledge and put in the work for it actually to do something. The same way people are sitting there and they will sit there and lecture you for 19 hours about being a damn Mason, or the understanding being a Moor, or being a Kemetic scholar. They're applying it to benefit from it because now you're attached to them. But here's the thing. In order for you In order for them to continue to get what they need to get, they got to still be able to feed you. So they're not really teaching you anything. Because in order to teach, the true marks of a teacher is what example they create to create another leader, to create another teacher. That's that key. An occultist removes the mystery, the mysterious, that takes away that mysterious veil. I remove the veil and I give it to you simple and plain. You understanding it, that's your initiation. So you don't need any, no one needs to tell you. I could literally sit there and all day and be like, yo, it's 250 for me to start doing this, or this part and this part and this part and this part. And then I can initiate you, and then guess what? You can be an occultist too. No, I can give you the breakdown in the broad areas of the knowledge, but to go deeper, for me to actually take that time to actually give, because when I'm teaching another teacher. I'm breeding another leader. I'm teaching another occultist. That's how you have to look at it. Whenever you step towards something, you're supposed to be teaching it what you know in order for you to be equal to it, not to be below you or above it. That's what your oppressors have taught you. To be, the more smarter you are, the more you hold over somebody. And then that translates into what you do in your everyday life. You sitting there, yeah, man, I can get around anywhere I want. I got a car. That's nice. I got these 2 feet. And if I really need to go somewhere and that's across the street, I can walk across the street. I ain't got to worry about gas. I ain't got to worry about a cop pulling me over. I ain't got to worry about none of that other shit that's in your realm. If it works for you in your realm and you maintain it in your world, cool. Boom, do it. But it's not conducive. What you eat don't make me shit. We are a different faith. Allow the dead to lay with the dead. That's just not simply talking about people. That's talking about situations. That's talking about environments that no longer conducive to you learning and living and rising to your highest self. So what if they think you're crazy? You breaking generational curses. You putting in the work that they can't see yet. You putting in the work. That's what your purpose is. You want to know what your purpose and your passion is? That's what your purpose and passion is. If you listening to a message and it resonates with you and it makes you want to evolve, it makes you want to get better, you're breaking a generational curse. Because everything that comes from under you, you must apply the knowledge that you have gained to gain more knowledge. You got to gain more knowledge. The only way to gain more knowledge is to release. If you sitting there holding all the knowledge into yourself, then you're no better than your oppressor. Thus, you are your own oppressor. If you're holding yourself, if you're holding the accountabilities of others as the way that you judge and you move around that person, why don't you just walk away from that person? Man, when we had years under our belt, man, we were friends for years. We did this for years. And toast to the memories. But we went through this together. We went through this together. We went through this together. That's nice. When I want to have a reunion, I'll come holler at you. But what I'm doing over here, if you ain't getting down with it, get down and lay down. Yes, I took that line from state property. You have to understand that at the level that you're at right now, it ain't for the weak. Yeah. Uh-huh. You can put yourself in a position trying to hold on to ghost. You can put yourself in a position yeah. Keep people around is what's gonna hurt you. Because you're not a people anymore. You're a God. The one thing that I learned, one of the many things that I learned from reading them Bible stories when I was little, I was like, God was a cold ass dude when they made him a man. That was one cold entity. Floods and stopping a person's whole life for not believing in them just to prove a point. When you get that good and bad shit out of your system, understand negative and positive, you understand the reason for doing it. You cannot be a human. You cannot be a God thinking as a human. It's impossible. You cannot be, you can't live in two houses. In the physical form, that's similar to this side chick and side nigga craze, where you got a whole family over here, and then you trying to go live over here in these different aspects of yourself all over here in other parts of the world and shit. Eventually, you get caught up. That's the same thing that happens in your life every single day. Trying to hold on to these other motherfuckers that ain't really doing shit is what's going to keep you where you at. It's going to hurt you more than it's going to help you. Because you're going to literally sit there and 10, 20 years go by and you still talking about the same shit. You're now that old wino on the corner that has no example of to show anything. You're not that old person on the corner. You're that old person that tells the stories. Upset to somebody else because they took your stories and learned from them. My uncle that transitioned in 2016, my uncle, one of my uncles, dead to me, transitioned. And I remember when I was going to school, when I was in NY. And he had this astounding gift. We used to go sit on the stoop and he would point out people and he could tell me exactly when they were going to die. This person about to be locked up in this many years. That person's going to die. Probably going to get shot in the head. Old boy going to get his tongue cut out. Whole bunch of other morbid shit that I thought was morbid as fuck. And then as it happened, it would be around that time. It wouldn't be like the exact point in time. Some of the times it would freak me out because it would be like on the exact point in time. But the shit would happen. What he was doing was building on the psychological thought processes of people in their certain spaces. So he would look at somebody, he could tell a person what they're about to do and what's about to happen to them based on how they were living their life and what they was going through or what they were doing at that particular time. As I plug in my laptop. Ta-da. At that particular time. So in your life, You have every example and all the bit of knowledge that you need to how you need to move. The God energy within you is how you create from what you know. There's going to be people in your life that ain't going to understand you right now. Let them think what they think. Let whoever think whatever they would like about you. Because it doesn't matter. Once you let go of the mundane, everything shifts in order. Once you start embracing you for you, everything falls into place. Everything falls into place once you embrace you for you. And you got to embrace you for you. There is no book on this planet that is going to give you the final answer. It'll give you the start. Any self-help book, any beginning book that teaches you how to invoke energies and how to invoke spirits and how to invoke alchemy and do all these books, they are unlocking the parts inside of you. Once you understand it and step into it and embrace it, that's the enlightenment. You can read a bunch of books and guess what? You are now intellectually inclined. But until you let go of the last page, the shit ain't gonna kick in. Let go of the page of the old book. You didn't wrote on that page. You've been holding on to that page your entire life. You've been holding on to that whole page. It got the tape. You got like the references. You got every references in there, every friend, every memory. That's that reference page. Why are you holding on to the reference page? Close the book. Spirituality is for the ones that are willing to go through and have been through hell in that aspect. Every other level above it that's within spirituality is to gain better knowledge and understanding of all the shit that you went through. If you're still stuck on the spookism, and that's put racism and white supremacy under spookism, similar to the Willie Lynch letter, all these things are tools of the spookism and the propaganda to keep you from tapping into your higher self. The truest form of love, the highest form of love is understanding. So until you fully understand it, you can't go any further. If you're still stuck on why you can't find a good man, it's because you haven't found out that you're not simply a woman. You're a queen. You're a goddess. You're higher than that. That's why you can't find no good man, because you're not fit for a good man. You're fit for a good God. You can't find out, man, I can't find no good women. It's because you're looking for women when you're higher than that. You're still trying to settle for something that's below you. Work on yourself and everything comes to you. Take that moment of them degrees of separation, bring everything to you. Because when you create that space has to be filled. So if that space is up here, you up here, and that space that you created came from here, the only things that can come to you have to rise to this space or be at the level on this space. That's the only way it works. Anything else outside of that is a convoluted illusion that's going to leave you searching. A convoluted illusion that's going to leave you searching. You're going to become bitter, unfulfilled, talking to yourself. That's all it leads to. Let the dead lay with the dead. Let them pray and tear each other apart. Let them be the savages. Hell, the reason that most of the people that you try to talk to can't connect to you is because you're the evil, you're the demonic, or the intelligence that they're running away from. You can drop hellified seeds, hellified jewels, but it ain't gonna lead to anything because it's unfertile soil. The more you get into yourself, the more you come from a space of knowing. Because the more you understand yourself, the more you understand everything around you. The more you start to romanticize your entire life. When you wake up in the morning and you say divine rise, grand rising, everything that you into your grand rising that you manifest, you set the term that I want to learn from all of these things. I need to rise from all of these things. Everything falls into place. Every level that you get to is going to come with a new array of books and training and things that you're going to have to learn. But you're going to have to be more spiritually inclined to see it. You got to start taking that shit seriously. The more you take it seriously, the more it starts making sense. You looking for signs, they've been happening the entire time. You just can't see them. Similar to they say during Hallows Eve, that veil is the thinnest where you can match for anything from the spiritual realm. Your mind is the veil. Your mind is the veil. Your heart is the key. The first rule of the universe is vibration. To get more, you got to know more. In order to get to that knowing, you have to embrace the things that you don't understand in order to understand. Let us pray. So do you want to pray and continue to be fed off of? Okay, if you want to do that, continue doing what you're doing right now. Or do you want to rise into your defined greatness? You can't live in the past. You can't live in the future. You only can live in this moment. Until you understand that it's only now, like there's no other better day than today. In order to win the day, you got to understand the night before. then you start speaking your own spells. You ain't got to believe in magic because you are magic. Until you start speaking from that space that's inside of you, your soul, from your feeding your soul, the magic ain't going to work. We can go through methodologies all fucking day on how to invoke spirits and invoke energies and take yourself to the next level. But if your mind, somewhere in your mind, is still locked subconsciously, you're still thinking about the fear of an aspect of something outside of you accepting you, then you can't tap into your energy. You're the power source. The little bit of knowledge that they have, that these elites have, that they'll say these elites have, is a fraction of what isn't written down. And where it's written at is inside you. So may the words that are spoken to you, the words that I speak, be the ones that lead you to the path, to the door that's inside you, that you're the only one that has the key to unlock. The God, the goddess, that immaculate darkness that is inside you. That's the only way you can get to the light. New light requires you to get into that darkness. The new you requires you to get past the shadows. Stepping out of that comfort zone into that old so uncomfortableness is the only way you're going to get to anywhere that you want to get to. I'm zoning out because I got this vortex thing playing on the television, and it's got my mind really to that aspect. Around this time, I always leave the floor open for questions, because every question is actually an answer. So if you got a question, something you want to get off your chest, a little vent, what you want to say, this that moment in time, we leave that little block right here for that. And as we're doing that, I'm gonna share my contact information for my consultations and all that stuff like that. As always, of course, YouTube channel, Gotta Co-Alchemist. If you have not subscribed and you're new to the page, go ahead and subscribe, share, hit that little bell for all notifications. Of course, for the Friday night lectures. Stay tuned for the God Hour. That will be my podcast that I'm going to come out with, because we're going to start attacking this from all the different angles. The God Hour is going to be more the in-depth parts of the God Thought series that I actually started through my Facebook Live. That's going to be that everyday impactful information that we're going to put out there. I might actually do a couple video podcasts. So the God Hour, you can look it up on the Anchor app, or actually I might actually put that in my in the thread on the description of this video. Capital G dot, capital O dot, capital D dot, Alchemist. A Co-Alchemist. You can look it up on Facebook for God Kings. The number, I always say the letter 4. The number 4, G.O.D, Kings, Ankh. I hope everybody knows how to spell Ankh. Goddess Queens at Rock Hollow Nijas. That is my Facebook page. You can also look me up on my regular Facebook page. My name is Rock Hollow Nijas on there. Instagram, is, of course, my same thing as Stan Rock Hollow Nijas. My email address that you can get to me with all information that you want to build upon in the console is set, S-E-T, Carlo, C-A-R-L-O, Negus, Negus at gmail.com. Wait. I actually have a new number that we can actually start building off from the GroupMe, because I have the GroupMe app now on my phone that I haven't started using yet. But the GroupMe number for the group page for the live discussion board on there, later, get away from that. God and Goddess Talk. You find it on GroupMe. God and Goddess Talk. I really don't know how to share that yet. But yeah, look me up on download the GroupMe app. G-R-O, yeah. Look up God and Goddess Talk. That is the what's called it for that group. Go ahead and send your information. You'll go through the whole process to download the download, and then look up that God and Goddess Talk. It's a sealed group, so we can have a nice discussions in there. When I dream, I'm always here on Earth and local streets and all that. Oh, that's a good one. Got a little carried away. When I dream, I'm always here on Earth, on local streets and all that. Your mind is still telling you that you are connected. That's actually an excellent thought. Your mind is telling you that you are still connected. Usually when you start building your own space, it gives you senses of familiarity. Yeah, familiarity. What you need to do is explore the streets. Find common landmarks, common areas in those areas, and look at the buildings. A lot of times I tell people to look at the buildings in the spaces. I had a conversation with somebody a couple of days ago, actually. And they were talking about every time they have a dream, they always keep going back to this old church. And I told them what is coming out of the church, as in the people. Try to identify with the people that are coming out of the church, or if people are going to like an old building where they usually always go to, and they see a lot of people that they used to know going into the building, and a lot of people coming out of the building. And when they walk into the building, it looks aged. What your subconscious is telling you that you're still in an old space, and now you need to walk. Basically, you're gonna walk into the darkest parts of wherever you're at. And that's how you're going to go to the next level. That's how you go to the next space. Because it's similar to like when you think about cartoons when they kept showing the same scenery over and over and over again, it's because you're still attached to something in that space. So basically, you're looking for your what I call is your soul marker for yourself. You're going to look for something that's familiar, but it's unfamiliar to that space. So when you're in that space, when you're in your dream world, and good to be to look at any binaural beats that are tuned towards lucid dreaming. And the more that you get deeper into your meditations and you go into that space, when you wake up, write down what you remember from your dream. Look for the interpretation of that in your dream. That way, what you're doing is you're marking it with a color. Like every other weekend, it freaks you out. What in your townhouse looks familiar, and what inside your townhouse looks unfamiliar? Like in your townhouse, when you go into that space, is there something that looks out of place? And concentrate on what looks out of place and not what's in place. Everything that's usually always there, that's based on your memories. All your memories are connected to things that are familiar to you. What you need to look for are the things that are unfamiliar to you in that aspect. Look for something that's like standing out. Like I remember when I first started going into my dream room, and I kept going back to my old apartment, and there was always a glass sitting in the sink. And for me, I don't keep dishes in my sink. I usually always clean dishes in my sink. So the more and more I started going deep and deeper into it and actually trying to grab that glass with my mind, like using my thoughts to grab that glass, open the refrigerator. But the more and more I started looking at that glass, it wasn't until I was able to grasp the glass. And then that took me to it was trippy because I went into the glass, and every time I touched the glass, I was in the glass looking up. And until I realized that being focused on what was there, until I was realized I could take myself out of focus, because every time I touched the glass, I was inside the glass. And inside the glass was a whole nother world. I could see everything I was looking at from the glass from a different angle. So once I understood that I can control the angles of what I was seeing, that's when the next time I went to that realm, the glass wasn't there. And once I was able to take the glass, literally, I took the glass, washed it, and was able to, at first I was putting it on the counter, and then I got stuck in the glass on the counter. So I was like looking at the glass through the counter at different angles. Until I was able to put the glass away into the cabinet, I couldn't finish that room. So basically when I started breaking it down, I was like, all right, cool. Now that I've succeeded in this room, what's in the next room? Until I realized like I was creating, all these rooms were created by me at a certain point in time. And the more I started getting deeper into the aspects of myself, each room started making sense. So at one point in time, I was in a dream and I was like in my living room and I was sitting on the couch and the TV wasn't on, but the TV was on. If that makes sense. Yeah, the TV was on, but it wasn't on. But as I focused on the TV and learned how to turn the TV on, only thing that kept replaying over and over again was like the same 3 movies. And it was never like the full movie, and it upset me because it was like my favorite movies. Like I kept looking, it was like the only scene in Constantine, it was the scene in Constantine when he was telling him not to go, like he took his cancer away. That scene kept getting stuck in there. I got stuck on, what other movie was I watching that I got stuck on? I got stuck in, was it Underworld? No, I got stuck in The Devil's Advocate, watching that movie over and over again. And it was the scene when Al Pacino finally exposed himself as the devil. And I kept getting stuck on that scene. And the way that I defeated the scenario of the Constantine scene was I literally put myself into the space on what was holding me away from gravitating to the next light. And I put myself as Keanu Reeves in the movie through that process of the methodology of my meditation to understand what it was showing me. So basically, your subconscious is always showing you things. Your subconscious is always going to show you things that connect, because it starts in your mental. Remember, it always starts in our mind. So it's going to show you things that connect to your physical space. So when you're thinking about, you always look at your refrigerator, remember what was inside your refrigerator. Was your refrigerator clean? Was it dirty? What was in there? Like sometimes people see gallons of milk in their refrigerator that's spoiled, which anything spoiled in your dream usually means something that you're holding on to that no longer benefits you. That's usually what anything spoiled means. Similar to like you see a girl in a white dress in your dream, it represents innocence in some way, shape, or form. If you see a baby in your dream, that links into understanding like a nuance that's coming into your life. If you see certain birds, you see snakes, you see certain aspects in your dream. A freezer full of onion rings. That is definitely very new to me. Do you like onion rings? That's a better question. Do you like onion rings? That's a good question. That's a good one. Sometimes the food is empty, sometimes the food is old. The next time you have this dream, in order to start working on it, that's when you start doing dream work. which is actually a very key part of shadow work. The next time that you see that the food is old, look at the food and look for the expiration dates. Look for the numbers on the foods, like when it expired. What you're going to do is connect to that date of connect to the expiration date. And when you meditate, when you wake up, because when lucid dreaming is the ability to take what you saw in your dream and apply it to your life. So when you see a date, like you see something old in your refrigerator, try to look for the date on it, if there's a date, or like judge about its oldness. And then when you go into your meditation, when you meditate and set yourself on that date, it can take you back. Next time you go into your dream world, it's going to take you back to that time and space of something that came from whatever that was. So that's how you connect to that. And then you start connecting the dots literally in your dream. And since you've already gotten the part, so next time you go to the refrigerator and you see that date, you break down that date, you're like, okay, pick a color to highlight that date with. So like whatever you use, I tell people use their favorite color. Use your favorite color to highlight whatever you just linked into. That way, you don't have to pay attention to that. So everything that lights up that color in your dream, you don't have to pay attention to because you've already established what it was. As you do this, you start removing these things out of whatever space is. So since it's a refrigerator, you start removing things out of the refrigerator that are that color until you get to the source of why you keep going to the refrigerator. Basically, with a refrigerator closet. I had a dream about I was in my damn closet and I kept seeing this same old plaid shirt that my father had. That it was from the 70s, from the disco era. I never wore this shirt, but it made me connect to what it was basically telling me is that in order to get past this certain space in my life, I had to get to a certain space of understanding of what my father really was and what he meant to me. That allowed me to connect to that ancestral tether or connect to that ether of energy of what my father stood for in the physical realm is what he became in the spiritual realm. He was higher than that in the spiritual realm. I actually found my soul name. I found his soul name. I was actually able to call in and evoke that energy. Onion rings, though. That's what I'm stuck on. I'm actually, you know what? I'm actually going to look up what the heck looking at onion rings in your dream actually means. We're going to have some fun. Onion rings. But yes, look me up on the group me. The group me app. Look up God and Goddess Talk on group me. Look up on Anchor, or you actually can. I'm actually going to put that link in my what's called it now. Let me look at it. We're actually going to type it into the comments. Podcast. God Hour Podcast. Sharing. Copy link. Copy to the clipboard. Go here. I love doing copy and paste. It's so fun. And we're going to paste it. And we're going to type it in right now in the comments. It was crazy. It was full of bags. And they were fresh, not old. Thank you. You are so amazing. I try. I'm simply a man pointing. That's also another thing. When you're getting into higher forms of knowledge and you're trying to gain your aspects, study the person and what they say to you. Study the person and what they say to you. You can tell a person is coming from ego and trying to fill their ego, or if they're coming from a true, genuine spot by what they say. Typing with one hand sucks. We are typing in the other dot, and we're gonna put alchemist. I'm actually about to look at the onion ring thing after I type this in. All right. That is my handle for my. What did I just say that was? The every time I go there, I hope I'd be like, well, I hope people know that I really live here, and it would be creepy because I'm like, what if they come home and they're like, they never come though? That's very interesting. All right, we're gonna type in the group me. Hold on, wait. I think I can do that too. I love you guys. You guys are so cool. Share group. Let's go to here so I can see how it writes. Oh, that's how it adds it. Okay, cool. We're gonna type in the group me part now. So the first one, that's for my Anchor app. This is for group me. I always say, like, I keep inviting new avenues for me to be reached, and then I'm like, damn, now that won't stop blowing up. Group me. I'm putting my phone down. Why am I holding my phone? I don't need to. Group me. Is that how it's spelled? Group me. .com. Join. // join _ Anybody wonder what an underscore you have to hit shift for? I always say weird things. Group me .com. Why is group me longer than everything? Group me .com / join _ group. It's a lot of goddamn groups. / 55. Oh, I'm gonna stop saying it out loud. 0 6 9 1 6 /Z. I don't know how to feel about saying fag. That's kind of. We're not gonna get into that. We're just gonna leave that alone right now. Z2. Is that an L? Yeah, that's an L. L. All right, cool. And boom. That is the group me information. Let me look. I'm about to look at the onion ring thing right now. That's trippy. I've seen some weird shit in my day. Dreaming about onion rings. Wait, whoa. Every time I go there, wait. Dreaming of onion. Wow, that's in there. Okay, it ain't really that bad. Eating onion rings in a dream. Eating onion rings in the dream reflect that you are feeling happy about something in your life, but this happiness may be short-lived if you do not have a good handle on the expectation. That was that one. Onions in dream represent tears, memory, disguises, and jealousy, as we were talking about. It indicates certain layered emotions and mood swings depending on the context of the dream. Consider where you are seeing the onions and how you're using the onions and the condition of the onion to get a clear interpretation of such dream. I can't believe we're having to talk about onion rings. Dreaming about buying an onion. Dreaming about buying an onion. Dreaming of onion shopping in a grocery store suggests that you are currently in a time of emotional need, but you will have to go through so many people for help. Some of these people in your life could be phony, fake, and full of deceit, which for Don, you actually pointed that out when you said in your comment earlier when you were talking about that shit fucked you up with like keeping people around. See how your dreams connected up? Dream about cutting and slicing onions. To see yourself cutting an onion in a dream indicates that you are doing your best to go deeper into a relationship and you learn more about someone or whom you are dating. You are judging someone while opening yourself up to emotional mood swings. Dream about onion soup. Dream about dream about peeling an onion, planting an onion, throwing onions. Dream about raw onions. Dream about rotting onions. Rotten onions in a dream reflect that someone holds ill will and contempt towards you. These are caused by both bottled up negative emotions and thoughts and could lead to unhealthy encounters, memories in the near future. Here it is, dreaming about onion rings. Eating onion rings in a dream reflects that you are happy and feeling about something in your life. But this happens to be short-lived. I think I already said that. Lived and you're not have a good handle of your expectation. Learn to live it up and be content as good things come by. Enjoy company of your friends and family without worrying about too much negative disagreements that may arise from time to time. Wow, this is about spring rings and everything. So they were frozen onion rings. Well, we just went into that onion ring, the dream about onion rings. So basically, since they were frozen, I'm gonna put that interpretation spin on that real quick. Right now, you're more likely in a space in your life where you're coming into yourself, you're coming into your consciousness. And as I said before earlier on, learn to, learn to accept everything that's coming into your life and to learn. Everything is a learning experience in that aspect. The negatives will help you resonate to grow into your positives and take your positives further. The one thing I like to tell people a lot of times is it's not a marathon. It's not a race, it's a marathon. The only way to go forward, wow, that's just crazy. We just did a whole dream breakdown. Learn to live it up and be Learn to live it up and be content with the things that they come by. Enjoy company of your friends and family without worrying too much about the negative disagreements that may arise from time to time. It's a beautiful thing. Anything else? Since we breaking down dreams, anybody else have a dream or they've had like a thought or a dream or anything that they would like to add on to? Don, you can still add on to yours. Or anybody else had a dream that we can interpret right now as we're getting into this nice question and answer phase. Every question is an answer. That's what I want everybody to remember whenever you ask questions. Every question is actually the answer. So the same way we just interpreted Don's dream about frozen onion rings is the same way you can interpret another dream or something that you're going through to help you unlock to the next phase of yourself. Yeah. Yeah. That separation is the greatest form. Your subconscious is really trying to talk to you. There's some people that I've actually had consultations with that the first thing that they tell me is like they don't dream. I'm like, ooh, that means you are bogged down with a lot of physical guilt. I tell people that don't dream, a dark spirit told you they wanted their soul, you wanted your soul. Did you ask them? Whenever you have dreams about dark spirits or darker energies, it's usually a darker aspect of yourself. So the dark spirit saying they wanted your soul actually means you want, if they're telling you you want your own soul, that you don't have control of your soul. A good connotation that when you go into meditation, once you had a dream about a dark spirit, did they return? Good questions to ask them. Good things to say to them is, yeah, one good thing you say, yeah, you own your soul. So they can't have your soul. But the dark spirits usually indicate when they say they want your soul. Actually, let me look that up because I actually have that written down. I actually did a whole context of that. Let me look it up on my Evernote. What am I about to say? Oh yeah, dark. I actually wrote that word for word. It's crazy that you wrote that. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. It was a panther, then a bear, then jumped into blackness. Good thing for that, you should try to. Did you jump into it? Did you walk into the darkness? I love walking into the darkness in my dreams. All right. Uh, that is a white person. I'm not saying I don't listen to white people. But, hmm. I wrote a lot of stuff on that actually. Your spirit may be trying to warn you of a relationship that it can see beneath the facade that you can't. It can indicate that you ate in danger and don't want to see it. Yeah. This is what it is. Usually what it contends to, I'm gonna pull it up real quick. Yeah. Break it down. Your spirit may be trying to warn you of a relationship that it can see beneath the facade that you can't. It can indicate that you ate in danger and don't want to see it. Even feeling of helplessness in some situation could be causing it. Oh, there it was. Told you, your subconscious, once you start breaking into your subconscious, you're actually breaking into the astral realm. So when you're creating this when you're actually submitting to your ideal, you're creating your astral body. Your astral body, similar when they do the eye of the falcon and the eye of Horus or the eye of Haru, when they look at the eye, the bird's eye view, your spirit can move in ways that you can't. The spiritual energy, think about it like this. Similar to when you look at a chessboard, as the queen can move in any way that it can't, That's your feminine. That's the feminine energy. The spirit realm is feminine energy. That's why you must feel it. Similar to like when you give a kiss, that's feminine energy. You must feel it. That's the intuition. That's feminine energy. And within all of us is our feminine and our masculine energies. When you are in the spirit realm, that was actually an excellent one. When you're in the spirit realm, what it is showing you is aspects that you can't see in the physical world because you're acting on logic is of the masculine energy. So when you're going through your thoughts, like, but when you get to a relationship, you're thinking that you're always thinking of the best. That is your masculine. That's that masculine side of the energy. Your feminine energy or your intuition is telling you that's when it's telling you your gut instinct, like I don't want to go this way, I don't want to step in this phase. When you go into that dream world, when you go into the dream world, which is actually your real world, your real self, your true self, we get into another lecture. That's showing you the things that you can't see yet. So that sign that you were looking for, like, is this a good relationship for me? Is this person okay for me? That's what it's showing you in your dream world. Similar to the different animals, look into spirit totems, bears, rabbits, tortoise are the top ones. Panthers actually another one. Lion. Look up the spiritual meaning of each animal that you see in your dream to further break into your subconscious. Everything you're doing on the physical realm, everything you're doing to the physical, in that physical aspect, as you're writing, you're doing that research, is now going into your subconscious. Allow your subconscious go. That's when you're breaking up past your ego through that humanity phase, and you're going into your subconscious. You're planning it into your subconscious. Always do it whenever you're doing the most spiritual work. When you're going right into your higher self, you do it during the day. You do it into the morning. That's what sun gazing is. That's what meditation is. Listening to animal sounds and things like that. When you're going into your nighttime phases, when you're going into your sleep realm, that's when you're focusing on, when you put on that binaural beat for lucid dreaming, taking that aspect and then locking into that key aspect. And remember doing the highlighting it with that color. That's when you're looking for it. That's to step away from. Similar to like when I said something about your dog, like dogs. See dogs barking from every angle. Go towards the angle that they're not barking into. So when you're into the dark, you're walking further into the dark. What you're going to end up seeing is your soul. And you're going to see a little bit of light. Keep walking towards it. The darker it gets, the more that light comes into focus, and the more you're actually tapping into your deeper self. And then you'll know automatically what to do. Because you're no longer moving off of logic, you're moving off of intuition. How does an ant know how to be an ant? How does a dog know how to be a dog? Those are those aspects into that. The deeper that you get into it, the more you're able in tune to it, the more you start creating your astral body, and you start creating this space. And this space starts as blank, and then this space is going to tell you everything that you need within that space. This is going to tell you everything that you need within that space. Then you start building that space based on the parameters of what you need, what you want. In the physical realm, that's when you build your altar, because your altar is only when you build an altar into your home. Everything that you put onto an altar is a physical manifestation of something that connects to you spiritually. When you're starting to putting these things onto your altar, you're planning in your subconscious. After a while, you plan into your subconscious mind, and then you don't even remember why you put it on your altar in the first place. Similar to if you tell yourself to stop smoking, eventually you burn yourself out from whatever it is, and you put it on your altar, it goes into your subconscious. That means every time you look at that physical image, you're like, I know what that's for, but you don't remember what it's for physically, consciously, but subconsciously you remember, so you don't have to go back to it. Similar to like the dream thinking about the onion rings. That's still hilarious. Thinking about the onion rings, now that you understand what onion rings mean, every time you see onion rings in your dream or whatever you're seeing in your dream, once you understand the aspect of it, you don't have to concentrate on it anymore. Subconsciously, because your subconscious programs everything as real. So as you're programming your subconscious, you're programming everything that's real into your mind. So you set in your mind what's real, what's in this illusion. Similar stuff when you go to a movie theater and it has that the lights are lowered down low, it puts you into this mindset or this aspect of everything that your subconscious is about to take in, even though you think it's an illusion, your mind takes it in. That's how that MK Ultra and all the mind control works. The way that they do it is through the imaging on the screen. The way that you do it is through what you're saying as you're taking in all the wild shit that you read, occult books and all this stuff. When you start getting into the higher parts, start taking it all in. And then after about a week or two, 4 weeks, a couple weeks, all this takes time. Same amount of time it took you to get in there, it's the same way it takes you to get out. You start reprogramming your mind to take it in to actually see more. That way, eventually, when you're moving through your day-to-day, you know exactly how to move because you're in your dark space all the time and you understand the angles of light. That's how the angles of light are created. So then the mystery of the dark is no longer scary to you. Therefore, you actually start understanding it. But yeah, as always, also look up. I wonder if I can put that in there too. But yeah, look me up on Facebook, Rock Color Nijas. Drop a friend request, and then I will invite you into the other group on my other page, which is technically by invite only. You can like something on my page. It'll show me that you liked it. I'll go through the comments. I'll see that you liked it. I'll link you into there, and you'll see the bills from there. Group me. That's the one for my text messages are already going through the roof in that group. I had to create a whole nother group. Drop into that group part. Anchor for my podcast. That's just coming soon. And we're going to start breaking down the dream aspects and all that. I had a dream I saw a man dying, losing blood profusely, flooding in an ER, had a big holes in his brain. I woke up shook, breathing hard as hell when I woke up. That's usually what happens when you wake up from a dream like that. All right, we're going to break that one down one time. I've had someone tell me about that before, and I just looked at it and went crazy. All right, one more dream. Dreaming of a man losing blood. What did it do to losing blood part? And dreaming, someone who is injured and losing blood in your dream can indicate a situation in your waking life where you feel someone is depressed and you need to cheer them up. To lose blood in your dream represents that you may be tired in your waking life and that you feel emotional. Oh, here's the what's going deeper. Yes. Whoa, wait. You did some weird shit. Don't do that. Oh, shit. That went too fast. What was it? Dreaming of the ER. That happened so fast. It was crazy. Dreaming of the ER. Results. That's not a result. That's not a result. What does that mean? Oh. 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 the one thing about emotions, this is the more psychological part. Emotions are unconscious. How you tap into your emotion or controlling your emotion is the byproduct of your fear of your feelings. So you can't control how your emotions are triggered. You only can control the fear. Not the fear, but the feelings that erupt from you. You only can control how you react in the feelings. So you can walk into a room and find out that your man was cheating, and you can play it cool. You're feeling you actually play it cool until you come to the situation. So getting control of your emotion is actually getting control of the feelings that show how you control your feelings towards each emotion. So if you're feeling very emotional, what emotions you would feel, what emotion are you feeling the most? And basically attack, and then by understanding the emotion that you are feeling, the emotion that is coming up unconsciously can in your waking life control how you feel, how you control how you're going with the feeling, how it connects to the feeling. So basically, if you're having the emotions of being sad, you have to connect to what is externally in the reflection outside of you is what's making you feel sad. And then that's how you build that depth to that. That's that shadow work of detaching away from it to better understand it. Because there's nothing wrong with being emotional. Don't let anybody tell you there's anything wrong with being emotional, because that's natural. That's that natural aspect. It's how you're controlling or how you're directing that energy. Just like if someone tells you that you're angry, or that's more like to the aggressiveness, it's how you're using that energy to move forward. It's about embracing what it is. It's about embracing in order to move forward with it. A good book that breaks that down is the book by The Way to Superior Man by David Dieta. Yeah, that would traumatize you. But the deeper you're going inside your subconscious, the more traumatic the dream is going to be. And the main reason it's going to be more traumatic is because it's telling you there's a door that you need to unlock in order to get deeper into yourself to find your actual purpose and passion. It's like if you see a dream about clowns and you hate clowns, what that dream is telling you is what you're in fear of is behind the mask. So once you're able to unmask what you're afraid of, that's how you step into what you need to go into next. So every dream, even with nightmares are those dreams that are less understood. I'd rather have more nightmares than dreams, because dreams are stuff that I actually can control now. It's the nightmares that I have that I need to understand and control the basis of. As I eat my M&Ms. But yeah, we can go on forever on this. But yeah, I'm eating candy at like I'm eating candy at 11:44. I'm not saying to do it. Yeah, a lot of the issues that are in our waking lives and our current lives are based on that, whether it's relationships or whatever it may be, is based on a trauma from our childhood. And a lot of us in our communities, especially in our community as Black people, I don't like using the term black people anymore because we're not a color. As the golden race. I'm gonna say the golden people. That sounds much. That sounds very good. We're golden pieces of shit. That's the occult thing. Break away from humanity part. Gotta break down humanity. A lot of our traumatic events. Don, look at my generational curses lecture. It's actually it was like one of my hour lectures before I broke into the 3-hour molds. But something that has not been dealt with in your childhood or in your past, in the part of your life that you need to understand, can actually be connected to something that it can actually be connected to a tethered to a generational curse. So the reason that the fact that you're even having the dreams like this is telling you that you're closer, that you have the power to break a generational curse. That's the positive aspect of it. The negative part of it, which there's no such thing as good and bad, there's only negative and positive. The negative part of it is that you have to go back to understand the link of that trauma to break that curse. Because that link can be very much linked to something that happened in another family member of the past that came to you. Generational curses go as this. On the physical realm of generational curses, everything that is happening in our communities and the wavelength led you to this point. That is another power of our power that you have to understand how powerful you actually are. You actually speak things into existence once you tap into your energy. So that's by you tuning in tonight on this lecture led you to a coming occultist, alchemist, God-called alchemist. Literally, look at what you've expounded upon just into this point. But yeah, all my information is up there. Psychology Facebook page. But what were we just talking about? But yeah, generational curses have been led down to this mundane. Something as simple as the welfare system for us, that's a generational curse. If we don't understand financial literacy and we're still holding our hands out for something to be given to us, but we're being starved or something else. Sexual exploitation in our communities, whether it's molestation, Uncle Bobby, Pastor Ezekiel, feel free. Pastor Ezekiel, whoever it was, things like surviving R. Kelly, that was a learning point for us because that's happening in our communities every single day. Your dream is indicating, and your dream is literally unveiling something that you need to go into. Yeah. I need another bottle of water. I'm also surprised I didn't pee during this lecture. It's big up for me. But in closing, I'd like to leave y'all with like a little powerful monumental thought. In closing, I actually didn't even think of nothing to write this time. But you know what? I'm going to go into get out some taste of the God thoughts we're going to be talking about in the podcast. Knowledge is the key. Knowledge is the key. So thinking you know shit doesn't keep you from knowing anything. Being an intellectual is the highest level of humanity. But if you haven't tapped into your spiritual intelligence, your intuition, your psychic ability, guess what? You're simply an intelligent beast. You're a savage. So as always, as I say to everybody, Only a few of us step into it. Few of us step through it. Embrace your greatness. Embrace your darkness. Rise into your divine. I'm always going to speak life. We're always going to speak truth. Things like conversations like this, these are normal conversations that have been made unnormal for us because we don't like talking about it. And when we do talk about it, it's on like play. We have to start getting serious about our spirituality. We have to start getting serious about our spiritual selves, our truer selves. Until then, you're going to be in the same space that we are. We're going to be prey as we pray. As I look at the twinkle of my nose ring in the pale light. I love y'all. We love us. I'll see y'all very, very soon. Mm-hmm.